case.
All parties in the matter of Johnson versus Loper. Step forward.
Alicia Johnson is suing her ex-boyfriend, Charles Loper, for a loan, rent, and her dog.
Miss Johnson, Mr. Loper is your former boyfriend. You signed the lease together. He moved out, had a fight. You say that he owes you for rent, half of a loan that you took out in order to pay the moving expenses, and that he stole your dog.
Yes, ma'am.
He says the loan is yours. He doesn't know where your dog is, and since you threw him out, he doesn't owe you any rent. When did you move in, Mr. Loper?
That would be October 6th.
And you signed a one-year lease?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did you move out?
That would be May 4th.
Did you pay rent for May?
No.
Did you pay rent for April?
Yes.
Tell me what happened when you moved out on May 4th.
May 4th, I came and got my things in the process of moving out.
Well, tell me why you were moving out.
We moved out because I got into a fight with her the 3rd.
On the 3rd?
Yes.
Tell me what happened on the 3rd.
On the 3rd, Alicia confiscated my phone, and she wouldn't give it back to me. We got into an argument because the thermostat was too low and the air conditioner was too cold, and eventually we got into a heated argument, and I took the battery out the thermostat. That's when Alicia took my phone and ran out.
Okay, so you like it hot or you like it cold?
I like it hot.
And she likes it cooler?
Yeah.
So you got into a fight over the thermostat?
Yes, that's where it started.
Clearly this was not a marriage that was to last.
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
What had you done with the phone?
I had it.
I know that you had it. What else did you do to it?
I made it into a personal my phone.
Okay, so you changed the settings on it. Mm-hmm. That's an
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Alicia Johnson says ex-boyfriend Charles Loper owes for rent, a loan, and a dog.
Okay. When you say she confiscated your phone, she picked up your phone?
Yeah, she picked it up and ran out the apartment with it.
Why did you do that?
I did it because I was upset.
Okay. So you took his phone and walked out of the apartment, and what did you do with his phone?
Nothing. I just made a few phone calls, and I was upset.
Okay, you made a few phone calls to whom on his phone?
I called his dad, and I told his dad that me and his son was getting into it.
All right. So you took his phone. And what happened after you took his phone? Did you go back to the house?
Yeah, I did. Eventually, I went back to the house.
And?
We were still arguing. I had his phone, so I just went to sleep. We weren't talking anymore. It was kind of still heated.
And you didn't return his phone to him?
Because...
The answer, I don't care because you didn't return his phone to him?
No.
And what did you do?
I wanted to leave and go try to find it, see if she hid it somewhere, but I ended up going to sleep too.
In the same bed?
No, different rooms. She slept in my daughter's room, and I slept in the main room.
And what happened on the 4th?
On the 4th, I had to go back to work, and I ended up getting a pickup truck and coming back home to get some of my things out. I saw Alicia on the way into the house. I asked her for my phone. She told me she went crazy and she don't have my phone.
Okay. What had you done with the phone?
I had it. I
know that you had it. What else did you do to it?
Nothing.
Where is
I made it into a personal my phone.
Okay, so you changed the settings on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not an uh-huh. That's not an uh-huh. That you took his property and you, in effect, destroyed his property. That's not something that you can do. Okay. What rent do you think he owes you for?
He owes me for the lease that we signed together.
No, he doesn't. You stole his property. The landlord may come after him. He doesn't have to live with you if you steal his property. What else?
That was it. I didn't do anything with his phone.
No, I don't care what... You did do something with his phone. You changed all the settings so that he could no longer use it. Now, he doesn't have to pay you for any rent. You can't do that sort of thing. It's unacceptable. Now, see how fair I am? Where's her dog? Where is her dog?
I do not know where her dog is. I don't know where her dog is, Judge Judy.
I don't believe that. Now, you went back to the house at some point, right?
Yeah, I did.
And when you went back to the house, you stole her little tablet.
No, I took the tablet when I moved out with the furniture.
Did you ever go back to the house again?
I did go back when I had to get my phone from her. She said she was going to get it back.
On what date?
That would have been the 7th.
Did you have your dog until the 7th?
He took my dog on a totally different day.
What date?
The day he took my dog was May 5th. He left the 3rd.
Did you make a police report about the dog?
They never printed out a report for me because in the time when I was trying to get the police report, they told me I had to give him his phone back for the warrant to be released out and stuff.
What kind of dog did you
A
have?
Shih Tzu.
When did you purchase the dog?
My dog was a gift back in 2010.
What'd you do with the dog?
I didn't do anything with her dog, Judge.
You know I
He
don't.
was there when I left to get my furniture.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I would be really very, very upset if somebody took your dog.
Trust me, I am.
Dog's not in your house?
The dog finally came back home after this gentleman.
Right. So the dog is back with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. And he doesn't owe you any rent, because that's what I was going to kill him on, the dog. You stood up very quickly. As soon as you stood up, she said, the dog's back with me. You could sit down. The only other thing that I'm going to deal with is this loan that you took out. What did you take out a loan for?
We were homeless, so we were trying to find a place to stay, and our money was very funny. And in order for us to move in, we needed the first and last month rent. And he agreed to help me pay half on this before we moved in.
Because he was going to live there.
Yes, ma'am.
Until you stole his phone. Are you still living there?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you staying there?
Yes, ma'am.
You have 2 bedrooms. Who else lives there?
Nobody.
Are you renewing your lease?
I really can't because I don't have finances to take care of it.
Well, I suggest you start advertising for a roommate.
I have.
He's been gone for a month. Case is dismissed. We're done.
Parties are excused and they step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I think she made the right decision.
Never shack up.
People need to stop doing things that's going to hurt people.
Never shack up.
Think about it, move in with a woman.
Never shack up.
Your neighbor asked you to move the camera. Why didn't you move it?
A matter of privacy over security.
She never asked me to take the cameras down. She called the police on me first.
She has a right to be annoyed with you, sir.
Then a bright idea came into focus.
What she did was she put in a light.
Manny.
The light interferes with his camera taking pictures.
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
I was trying. I wasn't sure.
Judge Judy.
You are about to enter the courtroom of Judge Judith Scheindlin. This is Judge Judy.
Terry Tadia is suing her neighbor, Mark Patus, for trespassing and for invasion of privacy as a result of pointing surveillance cameras into her backyard.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 367 on the calendar in the matter of Tadia versus Patus.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Patus, you and the plaintiff are neighbors.
Yes.
How long have you been neighbors?
26 years, a little over, I believe.
Who do you live with?
My wife and my daughter on occasion.
Now, in what year did you install spotlights around your house?
I did not install spotlights. I installed cameras, video cameras, surveillance cameras.
Okay.
In 2017.
So you installed cameras,
Yes.
not lights.
Not lights, no.
And where did you position them?
I have a picture I'd like to show you,
I'd
if
like
I
to
could.
see it.
They're on the front corners of my home. There's quite a few pictures here that Roseville police took.
No, I asked you a simple question.
I'm trying to get the
expect
right
a
ones
simple
for you,
answer.
Your Honor.
Good. Thank you.
This one.
I presented that to him.
Yes.
To the court.
Okay. And would you tell me what prompted you in 2017 to install the cameras? Just
Well,
for
my
your
wife
own
and I...
for your own security. Don't tell me about your wife.
It wasn't for our own security. My wife and I kept finding used condoms.
Don't tell me what your wife kept finding.
Okay, well, I kept finding used condoms in my backyard right over her fence. That and it was coming from her youngest daughter, Tara, and her boyfriend. And along with that, he was selling drugs out in front of the house, and that was getting way out of hand.
Did you have a discussion with the plaintiff about that?
I haven't spoke with the plaintiff in years. No, ma'am, I have not.
Did you make a police report about the drug activity in front of the house? That's either a yes or a no.
No.
So you have no police report that you filed, nor do you have any video, I assume, to show me, or any photograph to show me prior to the installation of the cameras as to why you installed them.
Correct, I do not.
But it's within your right to install cameras in your property as long as they do not invade anyone else's property and privacy, ergo this case. Because the plaintiff says that one of the cameras is not directed on your property, but includes her property, and she wants it down or restructured to merely show what is on your property.
I have a couple more pictures I'd like to share with you.
Sure.
This is what my camera shows in my home, all 4 of the pictures, so you can see what it does, specifically hers and what she doesn't like. And then what I think is most...
What I want you to show me, Mr. Paytas,
yes,
is with a pen that Officer Byrd will provide you if you don't have one of your own. I want you to make a circle around the photographs of her property that your camera can see.
it's in just one... Oh, yeah.
I'd like to see it.
Actually, there's 2 of them. I don't have a pen.
2. Okay.
One of them is enlarged, so you get a real good look.
Just make a circle.
But this is the enlarged. There you go. Your pen didn't work very well. Thank you. I have one more photo that I'd like you to see, Your Honor.
No, just 1 second.
That's all 4 of them.
This
Yeah,
is her property.
correct.
This is where one of your other cameras.
Correct.
Okay, but that's also the public street.
Right.
And that's in front of, this would be your house, this would be her house?
Correct.
Okay, I don't find that objectionable at all, actually. This.
Not out
I don't
front
find,
at all.
I don't find that objectionable at all. What?
When I was speaking with his wife, they admitted
Don't tell me what they admitted. Just be
Okay,
quiet. Just be quiet.
Can I see that to make sure I do agree? It's in the front of his house.
I do not have any problem with this as invading your privacy. This is
I'm not sure what I
potentially,
can see on it.
it shows the street, it shows where the cars are, and it shows a piece of your front lawn. Do you want to look at it closer?
Yes. Please. I don't have a problem with this picture. I don't have a problem with this picture.
Right. Those are pictures of the front of the house.
Right.
Somebody was doing something wrong. If there was an accident in the street, that's a good surveillance camera, and it's not necessarily interfering with your property. It's right in the front.
Correct.
Your problem is with the picture of your backyard.
Yes.
Okay? And now your camera, sir,
Yes.
can be positioned in such a way, because this is your house in here, I assume.
To the left.
This is your
No,
house.
that's her house.
This is her house.
That's her house.
Oh, this is her house.
Yeah. That's
and this
my house.
is your house?
That's my house to the left.
This is your house?
Yes. And if you notice, Your Honor, how you can see the left side of my house on the left? Well, if I
Yes.
push the camera all the way towards the house, which she would like, I get an awful glare and you can't see anything on the
That's
cameras.
too bad. That would count under the category of too bad.
I would like to share one more photo with you, please.
Sure,
This is outside of my kitchen window.
sure.
That's the view I get outside of my kitchen window.
That's what you get out of your kitchen window.
Well, I'm not sure how she could claim that her backyard is private and when I can see that out of my kitchen window. I'm simply just trying to...
Your house has been there. You've been neighbors for 26 years. She doesn't want her backyard or her children when they're in the pool or her family and friends. She doesn't want their photographs within your control. And it's a perfectly reasonable request for you to adjust the camera or move the camera so it just takes in your yard. So you can see if somebody's coming into your house, if somebody's skulking up your driveway. It's not an unreasonable request. We're perfectly reasonable people, sir. Even though this takes into consideration part of her front lawn, there's a legitimate purpose in finding out if somebody is being mugged, if somebody is in an automobile accident. It's a surveillance. But you can't surveil someone's backyard. There is a big difference.
Your Honor, I checked with my...
I don't care what you checked with. I don't care who you checked with. I'm telling you, if one of my neighbors had a camera positioned so that it had the view of my pool, and it's true that they could sit in their kitchen window or their bedroom window with glasses and look to see who was in the pool, how I looked in my bathing suit, whether I had cellulite, who I was with, who I was with. It's true that they could do that. There is a difference, however, of them having a camera and photographing that. It's the same way that you feel invaded when somebody takes a drone picture of your house, hovers around your house with a drone. Now, sometimes if you're a celebrity, you have to get used to things like that because you've made your life an open book. Last time I looked, she wasn't a celebrity. So she has a right to be annoyed with you, sir, for positioning your camera so that you can take pictures of her backyard and her pool. And if you were any sort of reasonable person, if she made that known, you would move it. So you didn't move it. And what she did was she put in a light.
Manny.
Is that what you put in?
Yes, I did put it in.
And the light interferes with his, the light interferes with his camera taking pictures.
No.
Doesn't?
No.
Oh, that's too bad.
I was trying. I
Just
wasn't
a second.
sure.
That's too bad. I mean, you have that as part of a counterclaim, that the light shines into your window and it irritates your wife.
It's into, the yard. I also have another picture, Your Honor. I have a lot of them. Your Honor, she's been harassing me for like 2 years, and I have evidence, and I'd like to share it with you.
I don't care. Change the camera. Was she harassing you prior to 2017 when you put in the... Pay attention to what I said. Was she doing anything to annoy you that I would be interested in prior to you putting in the cameras?
Yes, this has been going...
Just a second. Tell me, prior to putting in the cameras, what she was doing to harass you.
She swears drunk back and forth on her other side of the yard when we're having parties and kids. And
she what?
She gets drunk and muddles behind under her breath loud enough for all of us to hear it and cranks the music when we're having kids' parties in our backyard. My witness can... Yes. So stuff like that, and it's just constant, Your Honor. She put up a rubber glove holding the finger. This was up all summer long on a broomstick.
Which summer? After?
Just last summer.
You mean after she asked you to take down the camera?
She never asked me to take the cameras down. She called the police on me first. And
that you knew...
I have a couple of police reports I'd also like to share with you.
So that you knew she wanted the camera down?
Yes, I did.
So in order to negate the hostility, why didn't you reposition the camera so that it wouldn't be taking photographs of her backyard and her pool area?
I checked with the city manager, and he told me that...
Don't tell me what the city manager told you. Your neighbor asked you to move the camera. Why didn't you move it? Your neighbor asked you to move it.
The police told me I didn't have to, and I was not ticketed. I checked with my attorney, and he also said that I did not have to.
You're not following my question.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You should move the camera. That's what I think. I think that you're being obstinate. Check with your attorney, check with the city. I don't have to move it, and I don't care what you want. If it makes you uncomfortable, who cares?
And later today...
You were using it as a wedding venue. You took their money.
No.
You took their money.
They asked to have the reception there.
Are you out of your mind? Don't you understand? You have to think before you speak.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Terry Tadia says neighbor Mark Patus is invading her family's privacy by pointing surveillance cameras into her backyard. Mark is countersuing for attorney fees and harassment.
Now, your neighbor asked you to reposition the camera so it was not photographing her backyard and her pool, and you didn't do it. I have neighbors all over the country. If I were doing something that irritated my neighbor, or if one of my kids was doing something that irritated my neighbor, I would try to do my best to deflect that, because everybody is entitled to peacefully enjoy their property, right?
Agreed.
And if she was not permitting you to peacefully enjoy your property because she was creating a disturbance, then once discussed with her, say, listen, I'm having a party here, it's getting too loud over there, could you put it down? Then you file a noise complaint, right?
Yes.
Because then she wasn't doing the right thing. Did you ever do that?
No, Your Honor.
No. So what I'm telling you is, she's right. You should move the camera that's recording what's going on in her backyard. That's what I think. And I don't care about the harassment. I think that you're being obstinate. Check with your attorney, check with the city. I don't have to move it, and I don't care what you want. If it makes you uncomfortable, who cares? I'm telling you, it's not the right thing to do. Front camera, fine. I don't find any objection to that. It encompasses a small piece of her property, but not where she has an expectation of privacy, because it also abuts a public street and a public walkway. So she has no expectation of privacy in the front portion of her yard. But she has an expectation of privacy in the backyard that is fenced, and you're interfering with that. That's what I think. And I don't care what your city manager thinks, and I don't care what the cop that came to your house thinks. She has an expectation of privacy there that you're interfering with, and you should move the camera. And I'm going to award her money until you do. And I'm dismissing your counterclaim. You can come back every month or so, $1,000, judgment for the plaintiff, move the camera, we're done. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think it's a very good decision.
I'm glad that there's closure finally.
The assistant prosecutor sent Mark a letter stating for him to move the camera.
I got a very threatening letter from the city prosecutor, yeah.
He don't listen to nobody. That's the type of person he was.
You live next to her.
And now,
At this point, we're done.
the next case.
All parties in the matter, Williams versus Brown. Step forward.
Takia Williams is suing her former roommate, Jasmine Brown, for causing her car to be impounded and junked, and for traffic tickets.
We're all going to tell the truth today. Hooray!
Yes.
Ms. Williams, it is your claim that the defendant drove your car and had an accident.
Correct.
And as a result of the accident, you lost the car.
Correct.
Because the car was impounded, couldn't get it out in time.
Correct.
Whatever, the fees got too high, so you lost the car. On what date did you drive her car?
I kind of forget, really. August, I think it was like the 5th.
And Miss Williams was out of town.
Yes.
And you were living together.
Yes.
She had children, young children that you were taking care of?
Yeah.
How old were the children?
Nazir, I believe he's like 8, and Makai's 3.
Do you work other than taking care of the children?
At the time, no, I was not.
And how long was Miss Williams out of town?
Just for like a couple days.
What's a couple of days?
Like the weekend, 2 days maybe.
How many accidents have you been in your life, Miss Brown?
1.
This one?
Yes.
And this didn't happen in 2002. This happened in May of 2018.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be a yes. So we're not talking about generations ago. And we're not talking about an old person like me who has faded memory. You know, I can't remember things really specifically anymore. Was she gone for a day, 2 days, 3 days?
2 days.
During that 2-day period, did you take the children out in the car?
Yes.
Where did you take them?
I went and made a couple runs.
What's runs?
Grocery store.
Where else? I want you to think. Don't question when you're answering me. Don't answer me with a question mark in your voice. Grocery store? I don't know whether you went to the grocery store.
I mean, like, I can't really recall.
Well, I want you to think.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Nothing that I like better is to get somebody who's lying to me and really humiliate them. Because by you coming here and lying to me, you say, oh, she's stupid. And it is therefore my joy to make you look as stupid as I can.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Takia Williams says her former roommate, Jasmine Brown, took her car without permission and caused it to be impounded and junked. Jasmine is countersuing for loss of property and an illegal eviction.
I had the car for 2 days. Then I had an accident with the car. Before I had the accident, this is what I was doing. I had the kids in the car. Where did I take them?
Besides the grocery store and maybe other family members' house, nowhere with them.
Well, who did you leave them with if you were driving the car without them?
My sister.
How old is your sister?
32.
And she would come to the house?
Yes.
At the time of the accident in May of 2018, did you have a valid driver's license?
No.
How did I know that? It's because I'm old and losing my mind, but I know things. I just knew you didn't have a driver's license.
Right.
How old are you?
I'm 27.
A 27-year-old either had a driver's license and lost it, because I have a lot of grandchildren, you know, that age. Nobody who's 27 never had a driver's license, right?
Yeah.
So when did you lose your driver's license?
They became suspended January of last year.
Not they. How many driver's licenses did you have, and how many jurisdictions that became
Well, I
suspended?
have a couple different suspensions, so...
Suspensions for what?
Different type of tickets.
Like what?
Speeding tickets, mostly.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes.
When you left your children in her care, did you know she didn't have a driver's license?
I didn't leave my children in her care. I left my children in the care of her sister, Latricia.
Did you know she didn't have a driver's license?
I knew that she had a driving privileges to and from work. I knew that.
Well, that's usually, they call that a hardship license.
Right.
If you have a hardship, you can go to and from work.
Mm-hmm.
How did you know she had a hardship license?
Because she proved it to me. She showed me the paperwork.
A hardship license is sometimes given when you have an infraction that's a result of driving while under the influence of alcohol.
Okay.
Did you ever have one of those?
No.
When did you get a hardship license?
February of 2018.
Was that also suspended?
No, I still have those.
Then what were you doing going to visit family members and making runs to the grocery store in the car with children for if you had a license that allowed you to go to and from work only?
No, it wasn't just for work purposes. It says it in there that I'm allowed to make grocery store runs, also hospital runs. I was pregnant. It's a couple different things listed in my privileges that I'm allowed to do.
There was nothing about there visiting family members.
Yeah, that part, no.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So you were in the emergency room.
Yes.
Get me the phone number. And then you're going to call and put me on the phone and just have verified that you were there. And if you waste my time, it's not going to be happy or pretty for you. Do you understand? Do you want to start over again?
Yeah.
Great.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Takia Williams says her former roommate, Jasmine Brown, took her car without permission and caused it to be impounded and junked. Jasmine is countersuing for loss of property and an illegal eviction.
What was the date of the accident?
August 5th.
What day of the week was that?
On a Sunday.
Where were you going?
To the hospital.
What time? You know I'm going to find... You know, Miss Brown, you remember when I came in and I said, we're all going to tell the truth here? Because nothing that I like better, really, it's part of my joy, is to get somebody who's lying to me and really humiliate them. Because by you coming here and lying to me, you say, oh, she's stupid. That's the way I see it, you see. And if she's stupid and she represents the justice system, then the justice system is stupid. And people like me can get over the justice system because the justice system is stupid. And it is therefore my joy to make you look as stupid as I can. Do you understand?
Yes.
Which means that I can call the hospital and find out if you had an appointment that day. Do you understand?
It wasn't for an appointment.
You mean you were going to visit somebody?
No, I was going to the emergency room.
For?
I was having pains. I told you I was pregnant at that time.
It's not that I don't care that you were pregnant, but it's not particularly relevant to me. On the 5th of August, did you go to the hospital?
Yes.
On the way home, this accident happened?
Yes.
So you were in the emergency room?
Yes.
Of what hospital?
University Hospital.
Get me the phone number. And then you're going to call and put me on the phone and just have verified that you were there on August the 5th of 2018. And if you waste my time, it's not going to be happy or pretty for you. Do you understand? Do you want to start over again? Look at me. Do you want to start over again?
Yeah.
Great. Where were you going on August 5th?
I went to someone's house.
Whose house?
A friend of mine.
That's not listed on your license.
Correct.
And you had an accident.
Yes.
And she lost her car. What kind of car was it?
2005 Chevy Cobalt.
Look it up, please.
$1,097 to $1,400.
Great. Now you have a counterclaim.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
The counterclaim is that she threw you out after this incident.
Yes.
So you want her to pay you $2,500 for an illegal eviction.
Well, for my belongings that she didn't let me get.
What belongings didn't she let you get?
I had a brand new television and all of my clothing.
Did you get any tickets when you were driving the car?
One ticket, yes.
And how much was that ticket?
She didn't tell me how much it cost. She just informed me that one had came, and I told her that I would take care of it.
Did you?
Not yet, no.
Well, we're talking about 6 months ago. She's not getting any younger. How much was the ticket?
One was for $95 and one was for $105, so it was actually 2 tickets.
Did you pay them?
I have not paid them yet, no.
Nor do you intend to, because the car's gone.
Right.
Perfect. So she owes you $1,400. Did you keep her TV?
I threw it out.
What kind of TV was it?
I think it was a Sony. I'm not sure. It was a flat screen.
Why did you throw it out for?
Because I gave her 48 hours to come get her stuff, and she didn't come get it, so I threw everything out on the curb.
I don't believe that you threw out the TV.
I did, along with her clothing. Yes, I did. And I was angry.
You have a receipt for the TV?
I don't have it with me.
Bye. You owe her $1,400. We're done. Thank you.
Why did you ask Judy when they step out?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I am so happy. I think that she made the right decision. I feel like it was a bad decision. And I'm happy that Jasmine got to learn a lesson out of all of this. And Taki is full of at the end of the day. Don't turn on your friends and actually be there for people that help you. The whole thing is just stupid. So I just hope that I can pick better friends. Time to go separate ways.
You may be seated, ma'am. Have a seat.
Miss Sinus, this young man was a friend of yours and a friend of your family's.
Yes.
What you're suing him for is some rent, some living expenses, some money he allegedly charged on your credit card without your permission.
Correct.
Mr. Scranton says that your family and your mother
Yes.
agreed to help him and help both of you, actually. You were going to school?
Yes. I'm in grad school.
Both of you going to school?
Yes, Your Honor.
How long have you known the family?
9 years, the entire time I've known Miss Sinusu.
And that there was never an agreement that he would pay you back rent from his student loan money when he finally got it, that your mom did in fact put down some money for the both of you when you moved into an apartment together, and that he did in fact give your mom back some money.
Yes, Your Honor.
How much money did you give her back?
I deposited $500 in her account.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And that was when you got your student loan money back?
Yes.
And then you claim that he actually stole a credit card of yours and charged things on that credit card without your permission. He vehemently denies. He says he never did that. You told him he could charge certain expenses on the credit card because that was the agreement that he had. Now, do you have family, Mr. Scranton?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did they help you with school?
Yes, I do.
What did they give you?
It depends on, our whole situation happened, and why I couldn't get money is my uncle passed away. And so a lot of my family was doing money for the preparation of the funeral and covering other bases. And so that's why Nicole and I were in that agreement that she would help me out and then I would give her some stuff later. But family was helping me out every once in a while.
So your family was helping you out and then their funds got diverted someplace else?
Yes, Your Honor.
And when was that?
July 2013.
So in what months did you need money, Mr. Scranton?
The month following. And then just randomly on month to month. It depended on when I would need money. I traveled back and forth. My daughter lives in Covina, and so I traveled back and forth from L.A., where I live with my girlfriend, back down to San Diego to go to school, and where I used to live with Miss Sinusu.
So you're back and forth with a girlfriend?
No, back and forth with myself, but then I live with a girlfriend in L.A.
Well, that's what
and
I
was
said.
also, oh, yes.
And you've constantly lived with the girlfriend without a break?
Oh, I had a slight break in the summer with living with her.
Summer of what year?
2013 as well.
So this past summer,
yes.
About the time that you moved into this apartment together, you
no,
were
I moved into her parents' house at that time.
And then moved in with her.
We moved in together.
You were on a break from the girlfriend
yes.
during the summer?
Yes, Your Honor.
And when did you go back with the girlfriend?
During the summer as well.
Give me the month.
Oh, I'm not sure the month. The end of summer.
July
I don't
23rd, he got back together with his girlfriend.
Well, you know the date very clearly. You want to tell me how come you remember that date so clearly?
I would like to know that as well.
I looked at my text messages, and there was a specific text saying that he was moving his stuff down from his girlfriend's house on July 23rd because it was finally over.
She asked when we got back together.
I said, when did they finally get back together?
Oh.
She does not know.
I don't know when he got back together. They broke up on July 23rd.
And when did you move in with him?
On July 18th.
And was your relationship with Mr. Scranton strictly platonic?
Yes.
At all times?
At all times.
And she's lying with that too, Your Honor. Just to call out something. She's lying about that as well.
The whole time we were living together, and over the last 9 years, when we first met, there was an incident that we had hooked up.
That's what she asked you.
Well, in this time that we lived together and the last 9 years, there was not.
Okay. I want to know why you would move in with him and why your family was so generous.
My family really believes, and I do too, I'm going in to be a therapist, and I want to help people.
Well,
and
that's not a reason.
Well, exactly. Well, and my family also, they believe in helping people when they're pursuing an education, that you're helping people better themselves.
Well, that's nice. That means you make a donation to somebody, but it doesn't mean you move into an apartment with them.
Well, it was under the pretense that when he moved in with my parents' house, he borrowed $700 the first time. He paid me back in full. So he set precedence that he had promised to pay me back, and he paid me back in full. We moved in July, on July 18th. He had said any expenses that I incurred for him living with me, which was $375 a month for rent, plus half of the bills. And he said that any amount of money, food, gas, use of my car, cigarettes, gym membership, train station.
Listen, Sue, that's not going to happen here.
Okay.
I'm explaining that to you.
Sure.
If you enter into a cockamamie arrangement to pay for somebody's food, cigarettes, car, that is not why my parents struggled to pay my tuition in law school.
Yeah.
To figure that out. Now, if you say to me, he was supposed to pay me $375 a month as a portion of the rent, because my folks were sort of kicking in some money, and he was supposed to pay me back that money when he got his student loans, that's a nice, neat thing. Okay? I have no intention of looking at a whole bunch of 7-Eleven or Walmart receipts or from Mobil or Exxon or whatever other gas he used. I don't care. So we have $375. And how many months did Mr. Scranton live there?
He lived there July 18th through the end of July, August, September, October, and he left November 14th.
By the way, what was the total rent on the apartment?
The total amount for rent...
No. Just tell me what the rent was on the apartment.
Oh, $1,375.
Okay. So you were getting a bargain. $375 sounds like a bargain to me. Now, what kind of work do you do, Mr. Scranton?
No work at the moment. I write to make money, and I'm a student in San Diego.
So you don't have a job and you're a student, which
Yes.
means that somebody else is supporting you. Now, how much money do you get from the government?
Just for
City,
student loan.
state, or federal?
Just money for school.
Tell me how much you get. All different kinds of loans.
Okay.
All different kinds of grants.
Yes.
Every single penny that you get.
Yes. I get a total of $38.65.
$38.65
Yes.
a semester.
Yes.
And then you get...
Unless I get health coverage, which I do, and $16.75 is taken out of that.
He said he's getting that money back.
That's okay. Coverage is good.
Okay.
And that is the only money that you get. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that supposed to cover?
Well, it started covering other things. It's supposed to cover whatever I need to do in order to be successful in school.
Does it cover tuition?
Not the money I receive. No.
That's what I'm asking you.
Yes.
Does it cover tuition?
No.
The answer is no.
Yes.
Does it cover books?
Yes. It's supposed to cover books.
So, other than books, this $38.65 a semester is supposed to cover the remainder of your living expenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your rent, your food, your transportation, your clothing, everything except health insurance, which comes off it if you get health insurance.
Exactly.
And who gives you this $38.65?
Government, federal student loans.
Did you sign up for them?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how much is the tuition where you go to school?
$18,000. Yes.
And who pays for that?
Federal government.
That you don't have to pay back.
Oh, I do have to pay it back.
Well, then you're not telling me the whole story, sir. You have $18,000 a semester or a year?
Semester.
A
Quarter.
semester.
Yes.
$18,000 a semester. $36,000 a year. Plus $8,000 a year. Right?
If I do not get medical or dental, yes.
And this $38.65 is supposed to include your rent, which, according to the plaintiff, for the 4 months you lived there, you didn't pay. Is that correct?
That was initial. It was part of the agreement.
Listen to me. I didn't ask you that. I didn't ask you that question, Mr. Scranton.
Can I give you some background information real quick?
No, I'm not interested, Mr. Scranton, because there isn't a question in my mind that the people of the United States of America are never going to see back the $375 for the 4 months that you lived with Miss Sinisu in any way, shape, or form of repayment by you at any time in my lifetime or the lifetime of my children or grandchildren. So the question is, you took the money, your rent. And I'm asking you, you have any special gift or anything else that would say you are one of those people that live someplace where somebody else is giving you money for rent and you don't have to pay the rent? I don't buy that, Mr. Scranton.
I did a lot of other things, actually.
I don't buy that, Mr. Scranton, at all.
We moved in because she got into a fight with her father and got kicked out of her home. And so that put us in a place. And mother offered me to stay at her home, rent-free.
Why should you live rent-free when I am paying your rent? Shh, jump.
Which she offered.
Jump. Then give back the money. Then, just a minute, then give back that part of the $38.65 that you're getting. Give back and said, I don't need that money. I live rent-free.
I didn't get $38.65 once again, Your Honor. I have medical and dental. You keep saying $38.65, which I did not receive.
$38.
I did not receive that money.
How much did you receive?
$16.85 because my medical got taken out. I have the medical card in my wallet if you'd like to see it. I did not receive a portion of that money when you get medical or dental coverage.
Listen to me, sir. I don't believe that you got $1,600.
I did. And they actually 11 weeks after I was supposed to get it.
Then you want to know the answer? You got better health and dental coverage than anybody on the planet. Good for you. Good for you. And you also have it for, I assume, your child?
Yes.
Good. Great.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Says former roommate Sean Scranton owes for living expenses.
What I'm telling you is I don't want to pay your rent. Now,
don't have to.
If you're getting Bird at a good moment, maybe he would say, you know, he looks like a nice guy. I'll pay his rent. But most people don't want to pay your rent. And you didn't give the money back. So you owe $375 for 4 months that you lived with her.
I do have the utility bills, too.
I don't care about your utility bills. I told you that. That's not why my parents sent me to law school.
And, you know, the credit card, which was a debit card that she said I stole, I asked her for the number, and I gave her back the money, plus money because of that. She paid for my train ticket, yes, she did, and I told her that I might have to take a cab while I was in L.A., so I needed to take money out.
I don't care about all those things.
I put the money in cash in her bathroom.
Listen to me. I don't care about all those things. Between two goofy people. That's between two goofy people. What this is about is between you and America. You take the money, you're going to pay your rent, and you took the money, and you lived there for 4 months.
No, I didn't take the money. I didn't get the money until I moved out.
And you are going to pay the rent.
I didn't get the money until I moved out. She handed me the check.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all. Step out.
What is our excuse? You may step out.
People's true emotions and feelings and their true character comes out in time of trauma and need.
It's very difficult. I feel very betrayed. I feel like, you know, this was one of my closest friends.
And that's what I got a lot of her texts and emails show who she really is when things happen.
He promised every single month that he was going to come up with the money, and he never did.
There's no friendship, but she was a best friend for many years, and so I think about it every day, and it hurts, but it is what it is now.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mellon versus Irving. Step forward, please.
Nicole Mellon is suing fellow motorist Ranisha Irwin for purposely backing into her car in an elementary school parking lot.
All right. Miss Irwin, you were taking your children to school?
Well, I dropped them off, and then
you were taking your children to school?
Yes.
And you had dropped them off?
Yes.
And the blue car is your car?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you dropped the children off, you were backing out of the parking lot?
Yes.
Which you know is wrong to do. You were backing out of the parking lot because either there were lots of other cars there or whatever reason, which you shouldn't do.
Right.
The plaintiff was coming in to drop off a child at school, and she's behind you.
Yes.
So what you're supposed to do, despite the fact that you wanted to do the wrong thing, which was back out of the parking lot, you saw a car behind you, so you pull into the parking lot and go out the right way.
Right.
You chose not to do that. Now, the plaintiff says she's making her turn in, so now you are in a standoff. You're not moving forward, and she's not moving back, because you had accomplished your goal already by dropping your children off.
Exactly, and I had
I don't care exactly. And she's not backing up to let you out.
Right.
So, In this whole telling you now, you are 100% wrong. I want you to pay careful attention. In this whole accident thing, your temper was 100% wrong. You did not drive properly in that situation by driving through the parking lot and letting her drive into the parking lot the way she was supposed to. Don't speak. You were wrong. You say that because she wanted out, Miss Attitude, who had already dropped her children off, rammed your car.
Yes, ma'am.
I've met her for a moment. I believe you. She was annoyed. You wouldn't ram her car because you had a child in your car, right?
Actually, I was dropping off my boyfriend and his nephew at school at the time.
Whatever it is, you had a child in your car.
Right.
What is it that I said that was wrong?
Nothing.
I read your papers. You had a child in the car, so you weren't going to ram her car. She had no children in her car. You know, you stand like Attitude.
I do.
Yes. Right now, what you're doing is standing like Attitude. And there's really only one attitude here. That would be mine. You see, my problem, Miss Mellon, is as follows. It was determined this accident was her fault, and the insurance company actually paid to have your car fixed.
Correct.
And they did.
I'm speaking. Put that down. Insurance company paid to have your car fixed.
Yes.
Hers, yours, I don't care which one. But the first thing you did was you contacted an attorney.
Yes.
At what time of the day did this accident happen?
It happened at 8:55 in the morning.
And after the accident, where did you go?
I went home initially.
And after you went home, what did you do?
I went to the emergency room because I started to feel pain.
Did you go to the emergency room before or after you contacted the attorney?
Before.
Did the police arrive at the scene of the accident and take a report?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you refuse medical treatment then?
No, I did not.
Did they ask you if you were injured?
No, they didn't ask me if I needed it.
I don't believe that. I think that you would have said something if you needed medical treatment, but they always say, do you need medical treatment? Is everybody okay? So what you did was as follows. You went and hired a lawyer, and the lawyer sent you to a chiropractor?
Yes.
Right. See how I know the story? You didn't tell me the story. And you went to the chiropractor for a long time, and you spent a lot of money because the lawyer told you you were going to get back all your medical bills, and the only way you were going to make a case against the defendant is if you had injuries that you needed to take care of. And at the end of the day, after you had already spent all this money on the chiropractor, the lawyer said, you have no case. And he dropped you. That's what happened. Right.
No,
and
actually, he didn't drop me.
Well, then why don't you go back to him? Because I'm not helping you.
Actually, I dropped him because he refused to keep in communication with me.
That means he dropped you. That's what he did. He looked and he said, I'll send you to a chiropractor for treatments, and then we'll build up what your medicals are, and we'll try to settle for 10 times whatever your medicals are because the accident was her fault. That's not what courts are here for. Who do you work for?
The city of Carson.
How long have you worked for them?
For 10 months.
And when was this accident?
December the 8th.
Of last year. So you were working for them then as a file clerk?
No, not at the time of the accident, I wasn't.
Who were you working for?
I wasn't working at the time.
When did you get a job with the city? You
10 months ago.
Well, prior to that 10-month period, who was supporting you?
Actually, I was supporting myself. I was receiving unemployment, and Terrence at the time had a job.
Okay, so you were living together?
Yes, we were.
Great. And you got a job a few months after the accident?
No, I didn't get a job until 2012, and it was temporary.
Just a second. When was this accident?
2011.
Ah, please, give me a break. The fact that you were trying to make a lawsuit when none existed does not mean you get rewarded. And I already told her she was 100% wrong. She caused this whole kerfuffle. But you got your car paid for, and then you were looking to make some money. And the lawyer walked you down the wrong path when he said, go to the chiropractor, pay the money, and we'll be able to get more money at the other end. Sue him. Don't sue her, because I'm not entertaining it. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. You may step out.
I did have injuries, and I did have to go to the doctor.
She just was trying to scam Judge Judy to get some extra money.
She rammed in the back into my car to where her car was literally on top of my car.
She's making it seem like I'm the bad person, but she really was the bad person.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Werman versus Werman, step forward.
19-year-old Skylar Shadrack Werman is suing her brother, Joshua Werman,
for an unpaid loan and moving expenses.
How old are you, Mr. Wehrman?
27, ma'am.
And who is this?
My wife.
How long have you been married?
A year and 7 months.
You have children?
Yes, ma'am.
How many?
3.
3 children. How old are your 3 children?
4, 16 months, and 2 weeks.
And they all live with you and your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're a grown-up?
Yes, ma'am.
You work?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a mechanic, ma'am.
And what about your sister? How old is she?
19, ma'am.
So she's a kid. She's a teenager.
Yes, ma'am.
And there came a time, according to the complaint that I read, that your sister came to live with you.
Yes, ma'am.
And she came to live with you. She was supposed to sort of help take care of the kids a little bit, do some things around the house. And you were using her car or truck to get to and from work. Is that what was happening?
Yes, ma'am.
Wait, I'm asking you, is that what was happening? I'm not putting words in your mouth. Was she using your truck to get to and from work?
I was using her truck, yes, ma'am.
You were using her truck to get to and from work. So she wasn't working.
Correct, ma'am.
And you were taking care of her.
Yes, ma'am.
And she was staying at home. Your wife has 3 children. If I had 3 children, ages 4, 16 months, and 2 weeks, I would be taking a lot of happy pills. So she didn't have to take a lot of happy pills. She had somebody to sort of help her out. Is that the extent of your family, sir? Or are you planning on having a lot more children?
I think this is going to be the extent of it.
That's really a smart idea. 27 years old with 3 children is terrific, unless you're a CEO of a major company. Very expensive. Now, what this case is about is your 19-year-old sister said that she got some student loans and grants, and from the student loans and grants, she gave you some money because your car or truck needed to be fixed. That's what you say.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? And how much money did she give you?
She says $2,300.
I didn't ask her what she says. I'm going to ask her what she says in a minute. How much do you say your sister gave you?
Be approximately $800, ma'am.
And when did she give you the $800?
That would be the beginning of January.
January 2014?
13, ma'am.
After she gave you that money in January of 2013, did she continue to live with you?
Yes, ma'am.
For how long?
Another month.
And then what happened?
She could not get along with my wife, so we asked her to leave.
That sometimes happens when there are 2 women in the house.
Yes, ma'am.
How old is your wife?
25.
When you asked her to leave, where did she go?
She went back to Washington to the apartment that my mom had been paying for.
Did you give her any money to go back to Washington?
Yes, ma'am, $600.
And what was the $600 for?
The loan money, ma'am.
You mean the loan money of $800?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so now you acknowledge that it was a loan.
The $600, ma'am. Or $800, and then $200 left over.
For what? Now you tell me, different from what you told me in your answer, you say it was a loan. The $800 that she gave you from her grant money was a loan. In your answer, you said she gave us that money because we had been taking care of her for months. And that's why she gave you the money, and my truck needed to be fixed. So now if it's a loan, you gave her $600, which means you still owe her how much?
$200, ma'am.
There you go. Back to you. How much money did you give him?
$2,300.
Show me.
In yellow highlighted is everything he did, blue is what I have done, and pink is what was deposited into the account from my school. Also, one of the loans was for $550. There was interest accruing on that at 6.8%.
There was interest accruing on a loan that you took out?
I took out 2 loans, sir, ma'am.
You took out 2 loans in what amount?
$1,250 and $550. That's not including the $600 that I gave to him previously. The $600.
Just a second. Does that sound right to you?
Sort of, ma'am.
What do you mean, sort of, ma'am? Go ahead.
A lot of the money was used for household things because she cost us so much money when she moved in.
What did she cost you to move in?
How much food she ate and
I'm not interested in
soda.
how much food. I'm not interested. She's your sister. You feed her. She's 19 years old. You were using her only mode of transportation. She was staying home, helping with your very pregnant wife and 2 little children. And if she ate food, what did you expect her to do? Suck up air? You're grown up enough to make 3 babies. Why would you allow your sister to take out loans for you?
Because we couldn't afford a household.
Tell your
with her
wife to
in
get
it.
a job. Tell your wife, who's 25, to get a job. Not have another baby. If you can't afford, then that's what you do. I mean, the way people get out of poverty is not say, well, I'm poor. I think I'll go have another baby. Ridiculous. And you certainly don't take money from your kid's sister, who sounds as if she was having enough trouble anyway. Outrageous. Anything else you want to tell me? No. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,350. That's all.
My sister got away with taking advantage of people again.
They chose to do that to help them out, and they chose to act like it was a gift.
My mother asked me to take care of her, keep her away from drugs and alcohol. So
No, it wasn't a problem. I'm not even old enough to drink, so I don't do anything like that.
it was very hard on our marriage.
She's very similar to his ex-wife, and I didn't get along with her.
We can move on with our lives.
He was the closest person to me and my family, but what can you do?
I'm glad it's done.
Don't loan money to family.
You may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat, please.
Miss Lester, you had a mobile home that was, from what I gather, permanently situated on a piece of land that you did not own.
Correct.
What I gather, you pay a certain rental fee to rent the land.
Correct.
The defendant, according to you, agreed to purchase the home.
Correct.
And she was going to purchase the home and make installment payments to you lasting over several years, 7 years, I think. Your claim is that she lived in the home for several months. She advised you she could no longer make these payments to you. She moved out.
She lived in the home for over a year and was evicted by the park for non-payment to them.
So she lived there for a year.
2 years. 2 years, closer to 2 years. Probably.
And during that time, she did not make certain payments.
Correct.
Not only didn't she make payments to you, but she didn't make payments on the land.
Correct.
One of the things that you want is you want the land fees that she didn't pay when she lived there, because the land company now has a lien against your trailer. Does it have a lien?
But they don't have a lien. They basically won't let me sell it until the money that she owes when she was there is paid to them.
Well, then they have to put a lien on it.
Basically, they said that they
Not
sent...
basically. Don't
well, they
tell me
sent
what
me
they
abandonment
said.
papers somewhere.
Don't tell me what they said. That's
Okay.
hearsay.
Okay.
What I'm telling you is, if they don't have a lien, they have nothing. You can sell whatever you like.
They won't let anybody purchase my home. I'm trying to sell it because I moved on and live somewhere else. And from the time that she moved out, they are now charging me storage fees for the house on top of the space rent since the day she moved out, was evicted.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this question. You said you sold the house to her.
On a contract.
Sold it?
Yes.
Did you repossess it?
She was evicted by the property owners.
I mean, if you sold it and if the...
But she was making me payments.
I understand that. You were like a bank, as a mortgage.
Correct.
Can I see the documents that you have? Do you have a mortgage? Do you have something that you filed?
I have a contract.
Not a contract.
Sales contract between me and Christy.
Fine. I'd like to see it.
Also with the money she owes me on my house. From the time she was there, she never paid a full payment. It was month 2, she only paid me $50 payment, and I stretched her payments out so she could afford it to $182.61 a month for 7 years. But she stripped my house of all of its appliances, and the walls she took down, and there's wires hanging, and there's my toilet's gone, my sink's gone. I have pictures to show you.
Don't show me any pictures.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out the legalities of this. If a bank forecloses on your house, they can come back against you for certain monies that you owe them. Usually they don't, because it's just more trouble than it's worth if somebody doesn't have any money. So they just sort of mark it off as a bad debt. That's why we got into all the trouble in this country. Okay. I want to know who your witness is.
My witness is Mr. Robert Stevens. He's a friend of mine of 14 years.
He's a friend?
He's a friend.
Do you receive any sort of Social Security?
I'm on disability, yes.
When did you get Social Security disability?
I started getting it like 3 years ago.
The defendant says that you had to sign this document because you had to show Social Security that you had no assets.
Sign what document?
This sale, because there was not a sale of the mobile home. It was really just a rental agreement.
No, you're not allowed to rent in the park where I live, where my house is. Mr. Stevens can testify to that.
I don't want Mr. Stevens to testify to anything, your friend of 14 years.
But he's helped with my finances on this because it's been so confusing because she's never...
It's not so confusing. It's very, very...
Christy,
it's not
made it
so
confusing.
It's very simple. When you lived there, did you pay all the land fees?
Up until I moved out, yes, ma'am.
Did you? Show me. If you paid the land fees up until the time you moved out?
It's paid through November 1st, 2013, because I couldn't pay past November.
Just put it down. You paid the fees for the 2 years you lived there.
Yes, ma'am.
You moved out in November 2013.
My day that I turned in the keys was December 15th, 2013.
So you didn't pay for November?
Correct.
And you didn't pay for December?
Correct.
Okay, so you owe those 2 months?
Correct.
When did you contact the plaintiff and let her know that you were moving out?
I let her know back in May of 2013 that due to my
Your
medical...
Honor, she never let me know. Okay.
Tell me what happened in May of 2013.
I was recovering from my 5th surgery, and my doctor said that there was going to be another one in June. And so I let Ms. Lester know that I was in over my head. I wasn't sure how I could continue to finance the home, that I really needed help, and that I'd contacted a lawyer to find out if there was any loophole, any way for me to get out of the contract, what were my options. And my attorney advised me that because the title was not in my name, that Ms. Lester had to be the one to sell it, or I had to find someone to take over the contract.
So the title never passed to you?
Correct.
So the sale was not really a sale, because when you sell a house, title passes and the lien holder has a lien. In this case, Miss Lester would have had a lien on the property until the amount was paid, like a bank. So there was never a sale. That's what happens when you have a sale. When you buy a house, title passes to the new purchaser. If you have a mortgage, then the mortgage company places a lien on the property so that another purchaser is not going to buy it thinking it's a free and clear property. But that's what happens when you sell a property.
Yeah.
Title passes.
See, my misunderstanding was the landlords we had back when she purchased it. I talked to them about it because I had never done it before.
I don't care about misunderstanding. There's no sale.
But she never paid me for my house, so I didn't want to put the title in her name because she'd never pay me and she'd have the title.
Listen to me. Then it's not a sale. Maybe a rental to buy in 7 years when she pays it off, and then she'll get the title. But it's not a sale. Forget it. It's not a sale. It's a rental.
But you can't rent homes in my mobile home park where my house is.
You're not following what I'm saying to you. Maybe you just don't want to hear it.
No, I want to hear it.
Well, I just explained it to you. It's not a sale. A sale requires the passing of title. Title never passed to this mobile home.
I didn't know that I had to put the title in her name.
I don't care what you knew. I'm just telling you. I'm giving you the benefit of my knowledge.
Okay.
Title never passed, so there was no sale.
I didn't know that I had to do that when she was making payments.
Title never... What you know or what you don't know is irrelevant to me.
Now.
If title doesn't pass to something, there's no sale.
See, I went to the manager at the time, and I asked them.
Listen to me. I don't care what you're going to tell me. It's hearsay. I'm telling you what the law is. When title doesn't pass to a car, a house, a boat, a mobile home, there is no sale.
I understand that.
Now, she says that she did not make 2 months' worth of land payments. And what were the land payments?
$785, and that includes water and sewer, Your Honor.
$785 a month.
Yes, ma'am.
But she also had a mortgage, the house payment with me, that she's 8 months behind. And, Your Honor, I have pictures of how she left my house, and it's still sitting with this garbage that she left. That I can't sell my house unless I have the money to. I have 29 people that want to purchase my home. The park will not sign a new contract with a new owner until she pays her past fees. And her garbage is removed.
Her past land fees.
Yeah, and they can't even get a hold of her. She never contacted me that she got evicted or she was.
Her land fees are $1,570.
No. What they did is her land fee is $1,880. It's 2 months and $40 a month late fee. Plus they're still charging because she's the tenant to the park. She's
not a tenant anymore.
I know, since they evicted her.
I'm just letting you know you're getting 2 months worth of land fees when she lived there and did the land fees.
Okay.
That's what it is.
Can I show you some pictures of the damages that she put on my house?
You can show me whatever you like. This is not a big giveaway. You said the buyer is aware of issues with the windows and siding of the said mobile home and that they may have to be replaced, although the issue is between the landlord of Heritage Park Village and the buyer. In addition, the mobile home is being sold as is.
Yeah. It was in excellent condition. Nothing was wrong with my windows.
How do I know that? Show me pictures of it before.
This is the way it was.
On the day that she purchased it.
This is the way that I had my house fixed up. This is the way it is now.
Stop. That's not what I asked you. On the day that she started to live there. How long did you live there?
17 years.
17 years. I want to see it on the day she moved in.
Okay, I can show you the pictures of the remodeled rooms that I had just done. This is a picture as when she moved in.
Miss Lester, this is not happening for you. There's some kind of scam here that I'm not getting.
There's not a scam, Your Honor.
That is some kind of scam here that I'm not getting. However, you are entitled to your rent and you are entitled to your land fees.
But she owes me 8 months worth of her house payment she never paid.
That's my next question.
And damages I have.
Forget it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today says, Christy Hollinger owes for property damage, back payments, and land fees for a mobile home she was selling her.
Now, did you pay your rent?
My payments to her started to fall behind in July.
How many months did you live there without paying her rent? Because you have to pay rent.
If you count through December, 6 months, Your Honor.
And what were your payments?
$182.61.
You are entitled to the money that she was supposed to have paid you. And you are entitled to the money, in my view, for the land fees that she did not pay. She owes you $2,665.66. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I felt sorry for her. She had a son, you know. I fixed the house up. It was totally remodeled. It was really cute, beautiful.
I believe that she tried to help me at some points when it would benefit her.
She caught my kitchen on fire and burnt the stove before she even spent the night there.
Somebody put boxes and turned the burner on by accident when they set the boxes on. So it's like one of those things, worst luck in the world, first night.
Judge parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Mattia, where did you meet Miss Hoffman?
At Whittier Hills Baptist Church.
When?
It was about February 2013.
Were you a regular at the church?
Yes.
Was Miss Hoffman a regular at the church?
Yeah, she'd been. Actually, I met her like a year before, but we just got to be friends in February. She'd been going there since, say, a year or so, from 2012.
At what point did you decide to help her out because you needed some dental work, some cosmetic dental work?
She got in a car accident in I think November 2012, and she had her front two teeth knocked out. And I was one of the head people at the church in the cold weather shelter program, and I was combining with her, and she had no teeth, and she was saying how she wanted to go back to her job at Costco, and it's a demonstration job, and she felt too embarrassed. And I was getting Social Security, so I said, okay, I only got so much money, but let's see if I can help you.
That's not how it happened. Sorry.
Anyway, and I go, okay, we'll see what we can do. And so I took her to this dentist where I went to, and the guy told me it'd be a total of $1,650. And
well, that's what your lawsuit is about. So according to you, you paid for Miss Hoffman's dental work, and you want her to pay you back. That's what it's about.
Yes, miss. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Your Honor, I did meet him a couple years ago. I was at at church. I was at the beginning point in my life.
I don't care about your life. I want to know about your dental work.
Okay, honestly, it was never an agreement for me to pay him back. At that time in my life, I had no job. I had nothing. We were on the way to my home in his vehicle, and he said, What
were you doing in his car?
I think we were coming back from a class from church. He was driving me home. And he said, all of a sudden, he brought my teeth up. And yeah, I was embarrassed with my teeth chipped the way they were. And he said he wanted to help me. I said, why would you do this? Why? I have no job. I have no way to pay you back. He said, because you need your teeth. I said, why though? Like, I can't take that from you. And he said, God will help you because God has blessed me, so God will bless you. And at that time, he offered to pay for my teeth because I had no job.
So he did, in fact, pay for your teeth. Did you?
Part of it.
Part of it. How much did you pay?
$700.
And how much was the whole job?
About $1,900.
How were you supporting yourself then?
I was just looking for work.
That's not how you were supporting yourself, Miss Hoffman.
I
really think it has to come out naturally, Miss Hoffman. How were you supporting yourself?
I wasn't really.
He was driving you home. To what home?
Some halfway place that I had gotten into for a short period of my life.
How were you supporting yourself?
I wasn't.
Where did you get the $700 to pay for your
tax return? And my dad helped me with some of it.
Where are you working now?
I have 2 jobs. Where? It's called the Chicken Box.
And?
In La Habra.
No, and you said you have 2 jobs.
McDonald's.
Okay, so you work in fast food, 2 different jobs, 2 different shifts, none of them full-time, but make up a full-time job.
Not really, because I only made $100 in 2 weeks at McDonald's, so my last paycheck.
So how are you supporting yourself?
I make ends meet.
Okay. Now, Mr. Mehta.
Yes, miss.
Have you ever paid for anybody's dental work before?
No.
How old are you?
60.
60?
Yeah.
How old is Miss Hoffman?
32.
33, Your Honor.
Let me tell you how she lost her teeth. She was walking,
I don't care.
Okay.
How she lost her teeth.
How it came about is he got mad when I refused to pay him in sex. And that's how this came about. So when I wouldn't give him sex, he served me.
I want to know, Mr. Mater.
Yes.
You've been involved with your church for a long time.
Yes, miss.
You're going to give me the name of the last needy person in your church that you gave money to.
James Chambers.
And what did you give James Chambers money for?
For the house that she was staying in.
What does that mean for the house she was staying in?
We have a home, and it's for girls, for family, ladies that can't, they need a place to stay. And so she was staying there, so I gave them some money. But that was back
You gave them some money?
For me?
Yeah.
For what?
Charity.
Because that's where she was staying.
Yes. So they have money for food and money for rent.
This is new to me.
Mr. Mater.
Yes, miss.
I want you to tell me, sir, you got a couple of seconds to convince me why this was a loan that you made to Miss Hoffman.
The exact thing. See, when she got hit by the car, she was going to sue the people that hit her. That's what she told me. She goes, okay, Jim, I got a big loss settlement coming. I'm suing the lady that hit me. And she goes, and besides that, my dad's a millionaire. He's got money, and we're going to get the money. And she goes, also, she goes, and I'm getting an income tax check back. And she goes, here, give me your address, and I'll have it sent to your address, so that way you'll get it. But the check never came. And to find out what the truth was about why she got hit by a car, because she gave a phony $20 bill to the cab driver, and the cab driver was yelling at her, and a probation officer went and hit her. And that's what the truth was.
I never said my dad would give you the money.
When did you find this out about how she got hit by the car? Before? Listen to me. Before or after?
No, she told me about it before, but then when she got the papers from the court, then I found out the truth. What it was is it was about she did some illegal stuff.
Just a second. Was that before or after you gave the dentist the money?
About her getting a settlement?
No. About the other court problems that she had.
Oh, afterwards, yeah. About the legal stuff, yeah.
And how did you find that out?
We got to be pretty good friends, and she showed me the paper. She said, look, Jim, here's my court docket, and I read it, and it said about how that phony money was involved. So I said, you ain't ever going to collect. And then after that, then she said, if you get me the money, I can start working at Costco, and I really want the job bad, and I can pay you back. And the agreement was she's supposed to pay me back $100 a month.
When did she make that agreement that she would pay you
In
back?
February.
You have any proof of that, sir?
Agreement? No, but I got the bill from the dentist.
You probably wrote that on the way here.
I don't want you to say.
But here's the phone number and the guy's signature and their logo from the dentist.
I believe that you paid the dentist. I don't question the fact, neither does she, that you paid the dentist. Sir, the question is, did she make an arrangement with you to pay you back?
Yeah, when we paid it in April, she goes, okay, I'm getting a settlement real soon, and I'll be able to pay you. And then it went on, month and month went by, and then she comes up with this paper saying, Jim, and then she was afraid to go and try to take the people to court, because what it was a probation officer that ran her over. And then that's when I found out I just got scammed.
Wow. He's making things up. I mean, if he wants my teeth back, I can give them back to him, Your Honor.
1460, judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It's because I wouldn't give him sex.
She didn't say how much I helped her and saying that thing about sex.
And when I wouldn't give him sex, that's when he decided to serve me.
That was ridiculous.
I am thankful that he helped me out.
She's just saying that to make herself look good.
And I did start trying to give him a little money here and there every time he would make moves at me, just to get him to back off.
There's no problem me helping her again.
So it would just be best if we parted ways.
May be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Gerst, this is your cousin. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you been close cousins?
Off and on.
And you were having some trouble, Miss Purrington, is that right? You were separating from your husband. You have 2 children and a little menagerie of animals. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And your cousin took you in because you were leaving your house and your husband moving to another state.
Yes.
And she took you in what month and year?
November 2013.
When in November?
November the 18th.
And when did you stay until?
February the 3rd, 2014.
So you're there for a couple of months?
Yes.
Now, your lawsuit, Ms. Gerst, seeks rent. Says she had agreed to pay rent when she came. She didn't pay you the rent. Now you want the money. Ms. Purrington, you say that there was never an agreement for you to pay rent, that your cousin took you in because you were at that point struggling. Did you have a job when you first came to her?
No.
How long were you with her before you found a job?
Close to 2 months.
So during that 2-month period, you were home?
Yes.
or looking for work.
Yes.
Now, is what she says correct, Ms. Gerst, that during the time that she came to see you from November 18th until, say, the end of January, she was unemployed?
That is partly correct. She actually contacted me on November 15th and moved in that day.
We're talking about rent. Is it correct that she was not employed from November 15th or 18th or whatever date it was until the end of January?
No, Your Honor.
When did she start to work?
January 7th.
So she was unemployed for most of November when she was living with you and all of December, right, until January. How was she supposed to pay you rent?
Because she was receiving child support from 2 different fathers during that time.
For the children she had with her?
Correct.
Okay. And she told you that?
I found out about that.
Did you find out about it from her?
She did admit to it, yes.
Well, tell me about that conversation. And then I have a couple more questions, because I'm not so sure that there was a contract that she paid you rent when she first moved in. When did you have the conversation with her about support?
It was about 3 weeks after she moved in.
So sometime in December. Conversation came about.
I asked her if she was...
What did you say to her, and what did she say to you?
I said, how much are you receiving from Matt? And she gave me an amount.
Well, tell me. I want to hear what the amount was. That's how much are you receiving from Matt? She said
he deposits his entire paycheck, which at that time was about $950 every 2 weeks, is what she said.
That's not correct.
Doesn't sound right to me.
That's not correct. That's not correct.
How much were you receiving in child support, if anything?
It was about $250 a week, and it varied.
What do you mean it varied?
Well, some weeks it would be about $250, sometimes it would be close to $300, sometimes it was like $175, and then it dropped off about the 3rd week of January, so it didn't last very long.
Were you receiving this money from the husband that you had just left?
Yes.
Okay. And that was for the 2 children?
Yes.
So tell me, now that you're receiving $250 a week on average, and that's in the month of December, what did you say to her?
I then asked her how much she was receiving for the other child that was living in my home.
And she said?
She said that she was receiving like $150, $200 periodically from that father.
I wasn't receiving anything from him. Those payments are sporadic, and they go through child support enforcement.
So they go through child support enforcement.
Those payments do, yes.
Are his wages...
Sorry.
Are his wages garnished?
They are not, because he is employed by a company that doesn't take out taxes, so he sends in payments of... He sent in a payment of $100 on December the 24th, and he just sent in a payment of $50 on February the 24th.
And you receive those payments when you get them?
Yes.
Okay. So what did you say to her?
So I asked her if she felt like $300 was fair for a month. I mean, I wasn't
Okay, so you said to her, do you feel as if $300 a month is fair?
Correct.
And what did she say to you?
She said I should be able to do that, no problem.
Okay. And that was in December?
Yes, ma'am.
And did she give you any money in December?
No, ma'am.
Did she give you money in January?
Yes, ma'am.
How much money did she give?
$50.
When in January?
It was January 21st.
I actually gave her $60, and that was for an increase in the electric bill, which she had texted me and asked me for that.
Okay, so you gave her $60 in January?
Yes, for the electric bill. Heather and I never had a verbal conversation about rent.
Just a second. I don't know whether you did or didn't, but your actions certainly suggested that you considered yourself a tenant.
Right.
Well, you can't be a tenant. Listen to me. You can't be a tenant unless you pay rent.
Right.
Other than that, you're a guest.
Right.
And if you're a guest in someone's home, they can kick you out whenever they want. Is that right?
Yes.
I'm going to read you from your answer.
Okay.
You had gotten a call from her on February 2nd stating to come home and pack. You went home, you went upstairs, and she wouldn't come out of her room. She sent her sisters downstairs to get my house keys. I refused to give it to her because she hadn't given me 30 days notice.
Right.
Why does she have to give you 30 days notice?
The police had told me
No, don't tell me what the police told you.
Because I thought that I was a guest in her home, but then I
well,
had been
you are?
informed
No,
that
no,
because
no,
I
no.
paid
This
her...
is before, listen to me. This is before the police came.
No,
This is before, Ms. Purrington, this is before the police came. It was
To the
after
house,
that
yes.
that the police came.
To the
so
house,
before
yes.
the police came,
I
you
called
told her
before I went
sister.
home.
You told her sisters that you had to give me 30 days notice.
Right. I called the police before I went home. I wasn't home. She was texting me.
What'd you call the police for?
Because of what my children said was going on.
She told you she wanted you to leave the house.
Right, and I asked her if I could have a few days.
And she didn't want to give you a few days.
Yeah, no.
So, what'd you call the police for? Either you're a guest or a tenant. If you're a guest, you wore out your welcome mat.
Right.
1 hour, 15 minutes. It's your dog, your cat, and everything else, and go.
Okay.
You can't have it both ways. You can't be a tenant and a guest. Which one is it?
I was a guest.
You told me you were a tenant.
Well, because I thought that I was, but now I'm being told something different, so I'm not sure. I mean, I thought that I was a tenant. I didn't intend to stay for the full 30 days. I intended to leave within the next couple of days. It wasn't something that I wanted to do anymore. Her behavior in the last several weeks had been so erratic, and it wasn't healthy for me and my kids. I only asked for a couple of days, long enough to get all of my stuff and my children.
You were there 2 months. You know what it is about fish and company? They start to smell after 3 days.
Yes.
Did you ever hear that expression?
No.
Fish and company start to smell after 3 days. Okay. I have that sign posted where I live. Okay. So your cousin kept you for 2 months.
Yes.
And you're getting $1,000 a month, according to you, at least from one husband, according to you. Now, I think it actually would have been really nice of you. I think you ought to contribute a little bit. I got a question, Miss Gerst. Who was buying the food in the house?
It was being done 50-50.
Other than the electric bill, what additional expenses did you have as a result of your cousin living with you?
Even though the food was for the most part 50-50, there was a lot of issues with her children eating food that I would buy for... Okay.
I'm going to tell you, I'm not crazy about her, but it is not my job to love her. It is my job to figure out whether or not there was a contract when she moved in for her to pay rent. I don't believe there was. Now, the fact that she wanted to have it both ways, she wanted her notice and her time as if she were a tenant, and then she said, but I'm a guest because there was no contract to pay rent, means that she's not a very nice gal. And certainly if she were doing the reasonable and responsible thing when she was getting some of this money for the support of her children who were in fact living in your home, she would have said, what can I do to make it easier? Let me pay for all the food. You know, you're taking care of the rent, you're taking care of the other expenses, let me pay for all those. She could have done that. She chose not to, which is why you kicked her out. Because if she was a tenant and if you had a rental agreement with her, you would have had to have given her 30 days notice. You do understand that?
I do.
Good. So, as much as I think that on a moral plane, she should have been more forthcoming with financial support, legally, you did not treat her as a tenant because you didn't give her notice.
I filed it.
You didn't give her notice. You told her to leave. You said, come home and pack your things. You only filed it because the police told you you had to. You didn't treat her as if she were a tenant. And she didn't treat herself as if she were a tenant. And I'm not treating her as if she were a tenant. So as much as it hurts me, Miss Gerst, your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused, Miss Stefan.
I'm disappointed that she said I wasn't a nice gal, because I am.
She was getting in my face and cursing and yelling.
She tried to throw my dog out because I have a pit bull.
She tends to be a drama queen, and
that's when it got a little physical. I did get up in her face, was like, don't touch my animal.
She can make it any more difficult, and that's what she does.
And she'd been drinking, so that's when I called the cops.
That's who she is, and that's who she's always been.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Prasad versus Ramirez. Step forward.
20-year-old Haley Prasad is suing her former roommates, 19-year-old Alexis Ramirez and 20-year-old Eliza Ramirez, for eviction fees and property damage.
Ms. Prasad, you and these two young ladies were roommates.
Correct.
There was a fourth roommate as well, because from what I gather from your complaint, this was a two-bedroom apartment. You shared a room with another gal, and you two shared a room.
Correct.
And all four of you were on the lease. Is that right?
Yes. Correct.
Now, the lease was when?
In August of 2012, I believe it was the 10th of August.
Okay. Now, at some point, your roommate moved out.
Yes.
When was that?
It was in October.
And in October of 2012, the three of you decided that you would split the costs of the apartment 3 ways.
We split the water, trash, and sewage 3 ways, and then I paid half of Holly's rent portion. They each paid a quarter.
Okay, so you worked it out amongst the three of you how you were going to make up the difference for the roommate who moved out.
Correct.
And then you moved out.
Yes.
Tell me why you moved out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Haley Prasad says former roommates Alexis Ramirez and Eliza Ramirez owe for eviction fees and property damage. The defendants claim the damage and the eviction were not their fault.
Now, tell me why you moved out.
I was always going to move out in December. I only had to go to Santa Rosa Junior College for one semester and then transfer to a school in San Diego.
Now, had you discussed this when you signed the lease in August?
Yes.
Had that been discussed?
Yes. Yes, Dad.
So that you knew she was leaving?
Correct.
So in December, you found 2 new roommates?
Correct.
2 boys?
Correct.
And when did they move in?
One of them moved in the beginning of January, and then the other one didn't move in until mid-February, beginning of March. That was originally only supposed to be one roommate, but because her roommate moved out, breaking the lease, and just left and moved back home, it left us looking for 2 roommates.
But you always knew you were going to have to find another roommate for her because she told you that she was leaving when she signed the lease with you. So this is what happened. You found the 2 boys, and they were not very good cooperators, according to you.
Only one of them.
Or one of them. And she's gone already.
Yeah.
As per your agreement. And she was trying to get the paperwork together to sign off on the lease.
Yes.
But by the time these 2 new guys came in, the landlord was having some problems with them because there were complaints of noise and parties and loud and whatever. And according actually to all of you, the landlord refused to let you sign off on the lease and put these guys on because to do so would have started the lease running all over again, and the landlord wanted no part of these guys.
From my understanding, that was not correct. The lease would still end August 31st.
Well, then what caused the landlord not to want to let you off the lease? Do you know?
The assistant manager called me and faced complaints and said that I would not be allowed off the lease unless the party situation was taken care of.
Okay, I got it. So that was the problem.
Yeah.
And you acknowledged sort of that was the problem. One of these guys was a problem.
Correct.
To make a long story short, the landlord finally evicted you.
Correct. It wasn't because of the parties or anything, but yes, we were evicted.
When were you evicted?
We were vacated on April 10th, I believe was the day.
That was the day we moved out, but we were given the notice, I believe.
The 8th, yeah, of April, the day after the incident.
What incident?
My roommate had problems with 2 guys that were his friends, and they ended up not being friends after a while. Well, we had just gotten home from work, and we were walking up to the apartment, and we had just given the guy 30 days to get out because we were like, you know, you're too much problem, you're causing us problem. We're trying to get our other roommate removed so that it's just us 2 left on the lease. And he was just being a nuisance because he knew that since we're giving
Don't tell me what he knew. What did he do?
He had problems with these guys, and these guys came looking for him, and they asked me, and I thought they were his friends. That's what I knew him like. So I walked up to the door, and then my roommate closed the door, locked it, and they beat me up. And they used me as like a human shield, and they ran me into the door. The front door broke down. They then threw the coffee table, and it almost hit her while she was doing homework. And this was all because he was having a party, a day party, and we were trying to get all those people out, and they didn't listen. So then those guys ran into the bedroom where he ran into to hide, and they punched that door, and then they heard the cops coming, and so they all ran.
Now, this is what your lawsuit is about. They got evicted. Neither the guys nor them took financial responsibility for the eviction fees, etc., and you did.
Yes.
I'll get to you in a second. In what amount?
I myself paid $1,618 and some change.
How much did you pay that you can prove to me?
We paid $1,580, which was the rent we had just paid before.
No. Not the rent.
Well, that's what counted to terminate the fee. It went towards the termination of the fee, of the lease.
If you paid rent and you were living there, I'm not interested in that.
No, but the manager agreed.
No, I don't care what the manager agreed. I don't give you credit for rent when you were living there. She wasn't living there, so she has no rent. Now, how much did you pay towards the eviction fees?
$1,580.
Show me. How much did you pay, Ms. Ramirez, towards the eviction fees?
My parents paid $600 towards that.
Show me.
I mean, I don't have anything.
$600 towards what? Towards the $1,580?
No, it was separate, I believe.
Well, show me.
I don't have anything.
It was given in cash to Haley Prasad along with 300 from my parents, on top of that $1,580.
How much were the eviction fees?
It was $2,778 plus $1,142, I believe, for damages.
Just a second. $1,142 for damages? Whose damage? You mean damage to the apartment?
The damages by the guys who broke in when I got beat up looking for that roommate.
And?
That's basically what Haley covered. The $1,600 were the damages that those guys caused. Okay. There's no reason for us to have to pay those.
Oh, absolutely there is. It's not her bad judgment. It's your bad judgment. It's your bad judgment. You picked him. You had an agreement with her that she was going to be leaving in December. Now, if you said she picked the roommates...
It's a risk you take with any roommate you pick.
No, it's not a... No, dear. It's a risk you take, not her. It's a risk you take. You chose to bring a couple of guys into the house. I wouldn't bring a couple of guys into the house.
She knew who they were, though.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,618. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. They step out.
I got beat up.
Actually, as far as I know, they were lies.
And everybody ran. They didn't even get the guys that beat me up.
I mean, they said that the police came and they didn't.
They said it was a he said sort of thing. I mean, because there's a lot of people.
So that's definitely a lie.
It just sucks that she doesn't believe and know genuinely who we are.
I think it's a shame. I mean,
because I had known her since 4th grade.
We all have a 10-year high school reunion to go to in 8 years.
We were, like, best of friends.
Maybe something will happen there, but...
Like, I doubt that's going to happen.
It's hard to trust them again.
You seated? Have a seat, please.
Miss Lincoln, this is your son, and it is your claim that while you were quite ill, he took some money out of your account and he damaged your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Your son says that when you went into the hospital, you gave him your debit card, or whatever card it was. What did she give you?
She gave me the car keys, the 2 debit cards, and
debit cards?
Yes, and the PIN number for them.
When did you give him the debit cards?
I didn't give them to him. When I went to the hospital, I was comatose.
When did you give him your PIN number? Because he couldn't take anything out of your listen.
Yes, ma'am.
Couldn't take anything out of your accounts without the PIN number. So when did you give him the PIN number?
I gave him the PIN number. He's had them for years.
And what would he do with them?
Well, when I was in the hospital, he would steal money out of my account.
No, before, years ago.
Oh,
years ago, when you gave him your PIN number.
to the store, get milk, bread, essentials when I was honestly too lazy to get up and do it myself.
Okay, so you were in the hospital, he had your debit cards, and he was living with you in the house before you were taken to the hospital, I assume. Is that
yes.
right? Mr. Webb, before your mother went into the hospital, what kind of work were you doing?
I was working for the state.
Doing what?
IHSS. I was actually getting paid to take care of her. all different things.
No. The state was paying you to take care of your mother.
Yes.
How much?
$200 a month.
Did you have to fill out paperwork for that?
Yes, ma'am.
Who helped you fill out the paperwork?
My mother did.
Okay. What kind of settlement check went into your bank?
It was a settlement for a drug company for damages I incurred from taking their medication.
How much was the settlement?
$6,000. Well, approximately $6,000.
$6,000. On what date did you get the $6,000?
I don't know the exact date. It was in December of 2012.
Show me.
I don't have that here. I only have the bank statements for the time that I was hospitalized.
So what are all those papers that you brought?
These are bank statements for the time that I was hospitalized, face sheets from the hospital showing the dates that I was there and the diagnoses.
I want to see when money went into your account.
Oh, the money, it shows deposits every month.
From what?
My disability, child support.
Disability, child support from whom?
I used to work for the state also, but for the Franchise Tax Board, and I became disabled about 12 years ago.
What child support?
The back child support his father still owes me. He's about $22,000 in the
I'm
arrears.
21, ma'am.
So his father is support for him.
send
He's getting
it.
money from the state for taking care of you. I'm just trying to figure this all out. What other money do you get?
I get a disability.
How much?
Back then it was $1,066, I believe, and now it's $1,187 a month.
And what was happening with that money? Because your complaint alleges that I saw that my bank accounts, which should have had $2,525 settlement check in it, was down to $40. What I want to see is the $2,525 settlement check when it went into the bank. That's what I want to see. And that wasn't in 2012, madam. You say it was October of 2013.
Right, that's what I'm looking for. There were checks that were placed in.
Don't speak. Just show me what you wrote in your complaint. While your mother's looking for that, Mr. Webb, you're 21 years old. Where do you reside now and with whom?
I live with my Uncle Mark. It's about 10 miles from where my mother lives.
When did you move in with your Uncle Mark, and what's his last name?
His last name is McCarley. I moved in with him about January of 2013.
You moved in with him while your mother was in the hospital?
Yes, I had some issues with my grandmother, so I had to leave.
What do you mean you had issues with your grandmother? Was your grandmother also living with your mother?
Yes.
And when you left, how did you get to your uncle's house?
I walked, ma'am.
Where was your mother's car?
It was with this gentleman right here.
Okay, that's in January of 2013.
Yes, ma'am.
You went home in October of 2013.
I went home
according to your
September.
According to your complaint, my doctor said I could finally go home in October 2013.
Well, I think that was a typo. It was actually September.
It's not a typo. Typo is not a different month.
I'm talking about in the statement. I have all of the admission and discharge summaries.
On what date were you discharged?
I was discharged from AVHC on 9/15.
And who did you go home with?
My mother. Well, actually, he picked me up,
Yeah,
and then
I picked her up.
I went home, and my mother was there.
In her car.
Don't speak. All of these withdrawals were made after you went home.
Okay, and
that's what you're showing me. All of these withdrawals.
Those are, but these aren't.
I don't care whether these aren't. You said
this is what I'm suing for.
No. Listen to me, madam. On October 28th, 2013, there was a wire deposit made, $2,525 into your account. You were home when this went into your account.
I was home when that went into my account. But that was the last one that I could find.
Well, I don't care. That's what you're suing for.
No, what I'm suing for is the almost 10 months that I was hospitalized.
Sorry, that's not what this complaint says, madam.
But that's what I wrote the complaint
Well,
as.
it's not. I will show it to you. And what I'm going to show you is you
Well,
wrote
I
in
can
your...
show you
Hey,
my-
listen to me. What you wrote in your complaint was that you went home. You said October, so say it's September of 2013.
Okay.
And you saw my bank account, which should have had my settlement check, which is $2,525 in it, was now down to $40.
Right.
But it was not on the date you were discharged from the hospital. You got the money the month after you were discharged from the hospital. That's what this says.
But that's not all the money that I got.
Hey, listen. This is a court.
I understand that.
This is a court. You read and signed the complaint.
The fact is that he's 21 years old. He refuses to get a job.
Listen
he
to me.
refuses
I don't
to
care.
pay his own
You
bills.
want to complain about him?
He
Go
took
on.
almost $10,000 out of my account.
I'm going to say 1, 2, 3. It's irrelevant to me what your story is. This is the complaint that you filed. The complaint that you filed says that you received a settlement check on or about October of 2013, and that he took money from that, leaving you a balance of $40. That's what this complaint says. Do you want to read it again?
Yes, ma'am. Because what I told them was...
I don't care what you told them. I care what you signed.
Okay.
Got it. Now you want to tell me about the car?
The car was left at the house, of course. I was taken by ambulance to the hospital.
Listen. Car.
Okay.
He left to go to stay with his uncle. He had a disagreement with his grandmother. He said he did not take the car.
He did take the car. He not only took the car back
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
You're in the hospital.
Yes.
So you don't know whether he took the car. You don't know whether he took the car. He says somebody else drove the car. Stand up. Your last name?
Murrow.
You went to pick up Miss Lincoln at the hospital?
Yes, I did.
In what vehicle?
I went...
In what vehicle?
My mother's.
What kind of car was that?
Chevy Lumina.
And what kind of car did Miss Lincoln have?
It's a Hyundai Elantra.
Where is it?
It was...
No. Where is it now?
Now?
Look at me. Don't look over there. Where is it now?
They had to junk it because he blew it.
So it's junked.
Yeah.
It's junked. And when did it get junked?
Right after they had me go get it from him because he's been driving it around everywhere.
So you went, listen to me, you went and got it.
Yes.
From whose house?
Sheila's house.
You
Because
went.
she asked me to go grab it to park it at my house because he was running around with it.
So you went.
When it came back
and
from the
listen
house,
to
it was
me.
destroyed.
Hey,
No.
Miss Lincoln said, go get the car and bring it to your house.
Yes.
Is that what you did?
Yes, that's exactly.
Month and year.
It was 2013, and I'm not exactly sure what month it was.
So you drove the car back to your house?
Yes.
And then what did you do with it?
I put the keys inside my room, and I drove my mom's car to go get her when it was time for her to get out.
How much after you picked up the car from the defendant did you go and pick Miss Lincoln up at the hospital? A month, 2 months, 6 months?
Maybe like a month and a half to 2 months.
I can't help you. Miss Lincoln, I can't help you.
What do you mean you can't help me?
Just
He's
exactly what I
21
said.
years old. No,
just
please
exactly what I
listen.
said.
He
Just
is 21 years old. He took
exactly
the car.
what I
He
said.
made 8 sets of copies. Every time the keys were taken from him, he made another copy. And he drove the car until it blew up.
No. Miss Lincoln.
No, you don't understand.
No,
I have proof.
No.
I was in a comatose...
Just a second. Just a second.
I was in a comatose state when he was withdrawing money back to back. 3 and 4 trips to the gas station on one day, totaling $200. I mean,
listen to me.
I'm not responsible to feed him. He's grown.
Listen to me.
It's not even
I'm not
possible.
responsible for your ill-drafted complaint.
No, but he illegally took my car and my money. He had no permission.
Listen to me carefully. You have no proof that he, based on what this young man says, you're in the hospital.
He admitted to it. What do you think? I have no proof.
Bye,
He
Miss
admitted
Lincoln.
it.
If you're not going to be quiet and listen to me, I'm
I'll
just
listen.
walking out on you. Do you get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Sheila Lincoln says her son, Andrew Webb, stole her money and destroyed her car while she was in the hospital.
Now, you have no proof that he damaged your car. The last I heard from your witness was you told him to go and get the car from him house.
Yes.
Which is exactly what he did. And the car remained at his house after being driven by him at his house. He never got it back.
No, he did not.
That's correct.
Do you want to know why
So
he
you
didn't get it back?
No, I don't. What I'm telling you is you have no proof. Because the last person to drive that car, according to your witness, was him. That's the last person. You have no other witnesses here, right?
No, I don't.
No. So the last person who drove the car...
And when he drove the car, it blew up.
No, that's not what he said. He said he drove the car, he parked in his driveway, and he put the keys in the car.
And the next time I went to go turn it on, it was messed up.
Goodbye.
No, it literally
Goodbye.
blew up. He had no permission
Goodbye.
to take it. He needs
Goodbye.
to take responsibility.
How
he needs
can
to
I
let go
say
of the
that in
bull.
another language?
Adios.
Adios.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He said it wasn't a big deal because
I've done everything I could to help that woman.
he just figured it was going to be his soon anyways.
I would do more to help her if I could.
He just figured I was going to die and leave it all to him.
That's not true, you know.
That's what he said.
I would never say anything like that.
I went in my room and cried.
That's preposterous. I don't even have the words for that.
You know, I'm pretty much done.
I'm hoping that it can be repaired. I mean, that's my mother, you know. I wish the best.
Kimberly Gutierrez is suing her mother, Rhonda George, for false allegations, debit card charges, and personal belongings.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 2131, Gutierrez versus George.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Gutierrez, this is your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
And who is this?
My grandmother.
And that's your daughter?
Yes.
I'm reading the complaint and the answer, and this is what your complaint is about. You claim that your mother had you falsely arrested, as a result of which you spent 4 months in jail. While you were in jail, it is your claim that your mother used a debit card of yours, I think $3,000 worth, and you had some belongings at her house that you want. I gather that you've had some problems in your own life. You have at least 3 children.
Yes.
Was the state ever involved in placing the children in foster care?
No.
And what about your daughter?
My daughter, yes.
And how old is your daughter?
She's 19 months.
At what point did the state become involved with your daughter?
In May of this year, May 18th of this year, when there was false allegations made against, when my mom refused to give me my daughter back.
In May, when you brought your daughter to your mother's house, when?
I called my brother on May 17th of 2022, and I asked him to babysit my daughter.
Your brother. And does your brother live with your mother?
Yes, he was staying with her at that time.
So on the 17th, you asked your brother, who was staying with your mother, if he would babysit for your daughter. Where were you going?
I was needing to go to Fresno, and I had just received my income tax check. So I needed to go to Fresno, and I was on foot because my car was impounded the day prior.
Were you going alone?
To Fresno, yes.
So you brought your daughter on the 17th of May to your mother's house and your brother was supposed to watch him, according to you, while you went to Fresno.
Watch, yeah, he met me down the street actually because there's a restraining order, so I didn't actually go to the resident.
Who has a restraining order?
My mother has a restraining order on me.
Is the restraining order that she has against you a final order or a temporary order?
It's good for 3 years, that's all I know.
That's a final order. Was that a final order of protection after a trial, or did you consent to it?
I was not notified of the court date. Didn't consent to anything.
Okay, so it was a default.
I don't know what that means.
It means you didn't show up and they entered a final order of protection in favor of your mother. So you're not permitted to go to her home.
Right.
Since that's not really the subject of this, I don't have to get into it. In any event, you went on the 17th, you dropped your child off at your mother's house, your brother was there, and then what happened?
I finally got to Fresno, I got a ride, I got to the check cashing place. It literally took me...
Don't tell me, I'm not interested in that. 17th, you dropped the child off. You were supposed to pick the child up when?
That evening.
On the 17th?
Yes.
And did you?
I showed up it was a little before 10. I showed up, I called my brother, I said, I'm down the street. He was like, yeah, I'll be right there.
10 o'clock at night?
It was almost, ma'am, I was on foot. And
it's just, I asked you 10 o'clock at night.
It was right before 10, yes.
Okay.
When I got there, I called him. It had been about 15 minutes had gone by, and I called him back, and I said, where are you at? And he said, Mom won't let me leave with the baby. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, Mom won't let me leave with the baby. My mother instinct kicked in, and I went in like fight or flight, and I walked down to my mom's house, and I knocked on the door and was asking for my daughter. I finally came to my...
Okay, so when your brother said that to you, instead of going to the police, you violated the order of protection.
I ended up leaving and calling the sheriff.
Okay, but you didn't. You went...
Of course, yes. I was going for my daughter. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what happened at 10 o'clock at night or 10:30?
Yes. I finally realized that about 5 minutes of being at the house, I was like, okay, you need to leave. So I left because she wouldn't open the door to give me my daughter. I left. I called the sheriff. And so I told them the situation. So they had walked down to my mother's and let her know that what she was doing was basically...
No, not what she was doing. The police came
and told her
with
that they could arrest her. And told her that if she did not, that she needed to give my daughter back. But because it was late, the baby was already asleep. And so the cops that came back down to me and they said, look, we don't, because they knew me.
Whatever. I'm allowing you to give me a certain amount of hearsay so that I can make this story make sense.
Oh, okay.
Do you understand? But don't tell me because they knew you, what they thought.
Yes, ma'am.
You were told to come back in the morning.
Yeah, the agreement was that between my mom and the sheriff was that I could pick up Malia in the morning. The sheriff told me to call before 6 o'clock in the morning before he got off his shift and that he would come back out and do another standby. The next morning came. Between me and my grandma, I had us call my mom. And
no, just a second. What does that mean between you and your grandma? Your agreement was you were supposed to call the sheriff. The sheriff, according to you, before 6.
I called my grandma.
No, not the grandma. The agreement was you weren't supposed to call your grandma. You were supposed to call the sheriff.
Right, but I needed a ride. I needed a ride. So I called my grandma to have her come pick me up.
Just a second. Where were you?
I was staying at a friend's house. I didn't live in Selma.
Just a second. You were staying at what friend's house?
The sheriff came, got behind us, and tried to pin us in, and my grandma went to take off.
So your grandmother was driving?
Yes, ma'am.
And she was trying to evade the police to go someplace else.
Kimberly Gutierrez claims her mother, Rhonda George, owes for debit card charges and personal belongings.
You were staying at what friend's house?
My friend Isaiah's.
Isaiah?
Yes. I stayed the night there waiting for my daughter.
Just a second. Isaiah. Isaiah what?
Bonilla.
And what is your relationship with him?
He's my best friend. He's been my best friend since high school.
Where are you living now?
I live with my grandmother right now since I was released.
Full time?
Right now, yes.
What do you mean right now, yes?
I'm in the process of getting my own place.
Okay. So you called your grandmother and then?
Called the sheriff.
And then?
Waited for the sheriff to respond.
And then?
The sheriff did not respond for a few hours.
Okay, so you were waiting for the sheriff to respond. The sheriff did not respond until when?
It was after 7 o'clock in the morning, and it wasn't even yes, ma'am, 7 a.m.
7 a.m. Your daughter is, according to you, 19 months old? 19 months old. And she had prior to that been living with you?
Yeah, she was living with me all the time, yes.
She was living with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now let's get back to this arrest that you had. According to your papers, your daughter was with you up until that time. What time did she wake up in the morning?
Usually she wakes up between 7:30 and 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, well, then could you tell me why, if she wakes up between 7:30 and 8, why you would even contemplate picking her up before 8 o'clock in the morning?
Because one of my issues was with certain officers that would have been responding, and the officer that responded the night of the incident, he told me, if you wanted me to be the officer to respond, you need to call me before I get off my shift.
Fine, but he didn't respond to you. But according to you,
no.
he didn't respond to you.
No, it was
so
a different
then my
officer.
question to you is,
They did respond at 7 o'clock in the morning.
And did what?
It was a horrible mess.
Well, he did what?
They responded. When they responded, he showed up. The officer told me that he did not want to be there. He said, if I have my way, you'll never see your daughter again. And I looked at him, and I said, wow, okay.
What do you mean you looked at him? Where were you when you looked at him?
I was right next to him, but I just...
Where, at the precinct or at your house?
No, down the street from my mom's.
Okay, so he responded to you when you were down the street at your mother's house, and he said, I'm not getting involved in this, and if I had my way, you would never have your daughter. And so what did you do?
So at that point, my grandma pulled up, and I told him, I said, your assistance is no longer needed, and that my grandma could just get my daughter. And he says, well, you already called me. The deputy did. So I said, okay, whatever. He asked me if I had somewhere to live, and I said yes, and whatever. And so he went down to my mom's. When he went down to my mom's, he was supposed to just go down there and get my daughter. When he was taking too long, I could walk so far this way, and I could see straight down my mom's street. So I did. When I did, I seen that my mom was out there just giving him an earful. I know this woman very well, okay? So I just imagined what was being said about me. Well, I guess the back door is screwed and nailed shut at the house. I don't know why.
I don't know. It's not important.
Yeah. So anyways, my best friend went over the back fence.
What do you mean your best friend?
Isaiah Bonilla.
Oh, so you brought Isaiah with you?
He went...
Just a second. So you have your grandmother, and then you've got Isaiah, your best friend, also to go to your mother's house.
Yes, ma'am. He got my daughter.
Isaiah brought her to where you were.
Yes.
And then what happened?
I started walking back towards Isaiah's house. When I started walking back towards Isaiah's house, my grandma pulled up in her car, and she was like, are you ready to go get your car out of the impound lot? And I said, yeah, I'm ready. And so I got in her back seat with my daughter. When I got in the back seat, I got in the middle. Well, then she was like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. Your mom's over there saying a whole bunch of stuff to the deputies, so I don't know what's going to happen. And so I was like, well, I got to go get my stuff from Isaiah's. So I go to jump back out the car. As I go to jump back out the car...
But just a second. Now you have your daughter.
Because I needed my wallet. My bag was at Isaiah's. My purse and everything was at Isaiah's. I was going to go back and pick it up. Well, right when we were going to go back, the sheriff came, got behind us, and tried to pin us in, and my grandma went to take off.
So your grandmother was driving.
Yes, ma'am.
And she was trying to evade the police to go someplace else.
Yes, ma'am.
And how many police cars were involved?
One.
Were there ever any more than one police car?
Once we got to the police department, of course, there's a police department.
No, I'm talking about the number of police cars. So there's a police car now.
Coming behind us? No. It was just one.
It was just one?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were accelerating to get there? Was the police car siren on?
No.
Well, how did you know that he was trying to pull you over?
Because he tried to hit her car.
Oh, that would give you a clue. So you're telling me he tried to hit your grandmother's car without notifying you in any way to pull over?
Yes, ma'am. That's why I spent 4 months in jail, and I beat my case. I went to trial and beat my case. Everything was dismissed.
I'm not responsible for the criminal justice system. I'm only responsible for what goes on here.
Yes, ma'am.
So I assume once you got to the police station, both you and your grandmother were arrested?
Yes, ma'am.
And that was in May?
Yes, ma'am.
And now uncross your arms. And now we're in December.
Yes, ma'am.
Of the same year.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're out of jail.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been out of jail for about...
Since August 25th.
Who does your daughter live with?
Right now, she's with the mentor. She's my ex-husband's aunt, ma'am.
And who placed her with your ex-husband's aunt?
I did.
Not the court?
No, I requested her.
Does the child's great aunt have guardianship?
No,
custody?
I'm getting my daughter back, ma'am.
But for the last 3 months, she's been with this aunt.
Right, because Child Protective Services did get involved, and Child Protective Services, I've been doing everything that...
Well, that's what I asked you. I asked you whether Child Protective Services
Child Protective Services did get involved with my daughter, yes.
Did? That's what I assumed.
And I've been drug testing, I've been
doing...
Just
a second.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I assumed, that Child Protective Services was involved. And so if Child Protective Services are involved, then they are overseeing the child's placement with the aunt. You have an ongoing case.
Yes, ma'am.
Probate court.
No, not probate.
Which one? Family court?
Family court. Yes.
When was the case opened with regard to your daughter in the family
May
court?
18th, the day I got arrested, ma'am.
And that child became involved with the foster care system in May. Okay, so your grandmother also spent a little time in jail. How much?
2 weeks.
I quite frankly don't understand your case.
While I was in jail, Your Honor, while I was incarcerated, my mom had all my debit cards, my ID. She had went and actually, because of me getting arrested, she had went to Isaiah's and picked up all of my stuff.
You mean, just a second. Let me understand this. It is your claim that the reason that you had to go to Isaiah's house was to get your pocketbook, your wallet, your credit card that you left there.
But I never made it there.
I understand that. And Isaiah, clearly, from what you tell me, knew of the problem because he was part of this little conspiracy to get your daughter out of the house and was at the back of the house to pick up your daughter who was being put over the fence. So why would Isaiah give your mother?
Because she went over there with a baseball bat and busted out his windows. On February 4th this year, I lost my twins, okay? And that was the first time I had contacted my mother because I was going through it and I messaged her and I told her, I said, I really need my mom right now. If anything, I need my mom right now.
Kimberly Gutierrez is accusing her mother, Rhonda George, of wrongfully using her debit card and keeping her belongings.
So why would Isaiah give your mother?
Because she went over there with a baseball bat and busted out his windows. And the reason why all of my things were at my mother's was because I hadn't lived at my mom's for over a year.
What your case is about
is my belongings.
You claim that your mother went over and got your wallet from Isaiah's because I asked you what you were doing here. I certainly am not looking into the allegations of false arrest. It sounds as if you did the absolute wrong thing in trying to regain your daughter, whose custody, actually, you lost at a dispositional hearing and was determined to be a dependent child and placed in foster care. That's what happened here.
Right.
Okay, so I'm not even addressing your claims of false arrest.
Okay,
what you did was actually the wrong thing. I said, so what are you suing for? Now, you said
my
you're...
belongings,
okay.
my
what,
money.
Just a second. What money?
She used my CalFresh, which is my EBT food stamps, and my CalWorks, which is my cash aid through the welfare department.
Just a second. So you're suing her for taking your food stamps and your welfare check?
Right.
Just a second. Your food stamps and your welfare check.
And this is the statement from my tax return of all the money that was on there.
On where?
On my debit card. It had over $3,000 on it, and I marked what was used after she had picked it up. And then these are receipts from some of my belongings that was at her house.
Just a second. You haven't lived in your mother's house?
I moved back to my mother's in the beginning.
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
You hadn't lived in your mother's house. According to what you said to me, Whitney, was it a year ago? Didn't you say that you moved out of your mother?
My mom allowed me to come back.
Because there was an order of protection.
She had called me. I was living in Fresno, ma'am.
Just a second. You hadn't lived in your mother's house. You said you were living with your grandmother. For how long were you living with your grandmother before May?
I said I was living with my grandmother right now. I was living in Fresno, ma'am.
I want to know what property you think...
My clothing, my husband's clothing, my daughter's bassinet. I had jewelry there. I had all of my clothing.
Why would all of your clothing be there? You were living with your grandmother.
I hadn't moved into my grandmother's until I got out of jail. I was living in Fresno. And my mom...
Just a second.
You're not letting me talk.
I'm not understanding your movements.
Okay, my mom kicked me out in 2021, okay? My daughter was just a few weeks old. My mom kicked me out due to her boyfriend.
She kicked you out?
Yes.
And?
When she kicked me out, I went through Marjorie Mason, and Marjorie Mason had placed me in hotels. I was placed in hotels for about 3 or 4 months, okay? And then it was about January of 21. I was pregnant with twins. They had genetic defects. On February 4th this year, I lost my twins, okay? And that was the first time I had contacted my mother because I was going through it, and I messaged her and I told her, I said, I really need my mom right now. If anything, I need my mom right now. My daughter had not seen my daughter. She was not a part of my daughter's life. I did not speak to my mother, nothing. So she made an agreement that she would watch my daughter, because I had to go to San Francisco because I was too far along in my pregnancy, and it was just a big old mess.
Do you have any of your daughter's property?
No.
Okay, now, let's talk about this card. Did you pick up her property from Isaiah? That's either a yes or a no. After the 18th of May.
Well, how do I answer that when I did pick up her property, but her cards were not in there? Her driver's license wasn't in there. Her food stamp card wasn't in there.
What were you doing at Isaiah's?
So she asked.
Was this when she was in jail?
Yes, right after she got arrested. So I went down there. No problem. He handed it right to me. Look in my wallet, make sure everything's in there. Like I said, I don't know if it was her driver's license or ID was missing, her food stamp card, and the other card, the bank card. I don't know how to get proof, but her best friend, he cashed out everybody money. There was a bunch of people, even himself.
Information right here.
Even himself and his girlfriend. I don't want to get into the whole.
I don't want to get into it either. It's far too complicated for me. Is what you're telling me that you never used a card that she had?
No, I did not.
Because I'm not concerned about food stamps or welfare.
I did not.
You're suing the wrong person. You were in jail, so you didn't need money from welfare. What proof do you have?
I have my bank statement.
What proof do you have that your mother withdrew money?
She was the one that went and picked up my cards.
Oh, I don't know that. That's not what she says, and you have no proof. Isaiah's not here, correct?
No.
I don't doubt you when you say that somebody used your card. I just need proof
My
to
mother,
show.
I know that she was supposed to get my daughter from CPS. She was supposed to go get a crib with my card, and I have the where she and my grandma can.
I just want you to show me.
Ma'am.
No. That your mother. I believe that people used your card.
She used my card.
No, I don't know that. I need you to show me proof that your mother.
How am I supposed to show? I have my bank statements.
Then I'll take a look at your bank statement. If your bank statement tells me who used your card, then that's an easy. She said she did not. I just want you to show me proof that any of these were used. I mean, we have a lot of PlayStations, DoorDash, Amazon Marketplace.
And
all
I was
of those.
locked up throughout that whole time.
I understand that. I suggest that you concentrate on getting yourself together. If you want to reunite your family, I suggest that you put your priorities in order.
Oh, they are in order.
Evidently not.
I work, I have a job, I go to school, I'm getting my own place, but I'm going to court, I'm getting my kids back.
Good.
Can I give you this?
I don't know what it is.
Well, I just want you to look at it.
Can I see it? You're telling me this is part of your daughter's criminal history? What is this?
No, I'm just showing you she just got out of jail just a couple of days ago.
They haven't picked up charges, Your Honor.
You were arrested on November 28th?
Yes.
I'm not going to let you tell me about this. You have a lawyer?
Yes.
As I said, Ms. Gutierrez, if you're trying to work to get your family back together,
yes, ma'am,
and your kids back together,
yes, ma'am,
it would be a good idea to think about having more children until you get these children back under your roof. We're done here. Your case is dismissed.
You have a good day.
This court is adjourned.
Oh, I love her decision. I don't want to have nothing to do with any of them. They've burned their bridges.
Perfect example of suffer the little children. So you have 3 kids, none of whom live with you. They go back and forth between a grandmother who would participate in evading the police, but where the police had to stop them by ramming the car.
Yeah, I was going to say there was something in the papers about a crash and.
She said he tried to ram my mother's car. So fingers crossed for her.
Yeah, and the kids.
But take care of these kids before you think about having any more.
Yeah.
Fatoumata Diallo is suing salon owner Kanaya Taylor for 5 wigs.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2008, Delano versus Taylor.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Briefly, and then I'll get into specifics. You sold over the internet some wigs. You claim you sold them to the defendant.
Yes.
They were charged on a credit card. According to you, it was the defendant's credit card. You shipped the wigs. The defendant, according to you, received the wigs, then challenged the credit card charge, and the charge was reversed so that you did not get your money. And Ms. Taylor kept the wigs. It is Ms. Taylor's claim that you never sold her the wigs, that you sold the wigs to clients of hers, and if they didn't pay you, that's not her problem. Is that your defense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Stop jumping up and down because it makes me seasick.
Okay.
Stand still. I can't. You can't. You want a stool to sit on?
No.
You sure?
I just have anxiety.
Okay. Ms. Diallo, how long had you been in the online wig business?
3 years now.
And on what date did Ms. Taylor contact you?
October 1st of 2021.
Had you ever dealt with her before?
I haven't. A customer of mine actually referred her to me.
You had not dealt with her before?
Correct.
And her first order was for what?
A 34-inch deep wave wig unit.
I don't know what that is. Tell me how much it cost you.
$391.
And how much did you charge Miss Taylor?
$491.96.
And you shipped it to her?
No, I didn't.
Where did you ship it?
Right now, I didn't ship anything at the moment.
Okay, so she ordered the first one for $491.
Yes, and then after that, I shipped after.
How many did she order all in total?
In total, 5.
Within what period of time?
In the span of 4 days.
Okay, and Miss Taylor, you do not deny the fact that 5 wigs were ordered in a conversation over the internet with the plaintiff. Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a copy of those orders?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see them, please. Who's Joyce?
One of my clients. Your Honor, that's her.
Shh. Do you have a MasterCard?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any credit card?
Yes, ma'am.
How long has Joyce been a client of yours?
Probably about a year.
When you say she's a client of yours, she comes to your salon?
Yes.
You have a
my
salon?
Apartment. No, I have to do my hair out of my apartment.
So she comes to your apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you know when she wants to come for an appointment?
She'll text me. She'll DM me.
Okay, so she texts you, which means she texts you from a phone.
Right.
Which means that you have your phone, which shows her text messages.
Not.
What do you mean, not? If she texts you for an appointment, then you know how to contact her.
Yeah.
And she knows how to contact you. I want to see that. I want to call her.
I don't have that phone anymore.
Get it. You have to understand where I'm going. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes, you understand where I'm going. Who is that?
My boyfriend.
Your boyfriend. What does he have to do with this?
Because he was at the house when her and someone else came to the door.
I don't care.
Okay.
If I were coming to court today and I knew that there was going to be a certain amount of proof that involved some person who is named Joyce, and order confirmation email was sent to Joyce at your email address.
Right.
Right. And Joyce is somebody who was a client of yours for a year, not too long ago, who's no longer a client of yours. Not isn't an answer. Yes is an answer.
Ma'am.
But you can't give me her number to call because you lost your phone.
Yes. And she blocked me after I start asking her about the dispute.
Well, just a second. Well, that's 2 different things. You see, if she may have blocked your number, she won't block my number. That's not what you told me. You told me you don't have that phone anymore.
I don't.
Well,
and she blocked me.
How do I know that?
Her. I don't know.
How do I know that?
Did.
Yeah, right. Okay. Dora Dynasty, is that your?
Yes, that's my business.
That's your business. Well, these wigs were sent to Dora Dynasty.
Right.
Right, I know right. And who is?
A client.
And is still your client?
No.
No. Okay, you seem to be having a lot of trouble in your business.
How?
Yeah.
I've been having this trouble ever since the wigs have got delivered, and she hit me about a dispute.
Let me explain something to you. You purchased the wigs based upon her conversation.
I got to my house.
Just pay careful attention to me. They were all delivered to you.
Right.
That means you bought them. If somebody stiffed you, that's not her problem. But according to her, and you acknowledge that she sent you 5 wigs, and the is not an answer. Do you understand? You following me? Okay. What was the total value of her purchase?
$21.96.
And can I see the reversal of that charge on your credit card?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, at some point, your credit card was charged. At some point, your credit card was charged. That's either a yes or a no.
No.
Whose credit card was charged?
My client's.
Which client?
I'm not sure. Whichever wig she said was disputed.
You said in your answer you kept all the wigs.
No, I didn't. I didn't keep all the wigs. They got delivered to my house. 2 of them I installed, and the rest they picked up.
The wigs got shipped directly to my salon.
The wig shipped to my apartment because I was going to do their hair. I told them about the vendor.
Are you trying to tell me that despite the records that she has, that you were the contact person on all of this,
right?
Nobody else,
right?
Just you,
right?
That you gave these wigs to somebody else,
They
to 4 other
paid for
people.
'em.
They paid who?
They paid her. They paid for the wigs and they got them shipped to my house.
Were 4 different people charged for the wigs?
Yes.
4 different people?
Yes. She did 5 different transactions.
Are you telling me that the 5 different transactions were all her?
All her.
That makes my life easy. So what you're saying to me, she charged it on 5 different cards.
Yes. No, I didn't.
But she is all of those people.
All of them.
How?
I'd like to see it.
Please.
And Your Honor, she also admits it on Twitter. She doesn't actually know I have her Twitter account. And this is how she gets them. She orders,
May I see it, please? See how you're smiling? Bad. She should have left you home.
Man, please.
Do you understand? She should have left you home.
Nah, they just ain't
You
communicating
should have left
right.
you home.
They ain't communicating right.
Still not a good look from you.
Fatoumata Diallo claims salon owner Kanaya Taylor owes for the cost of 5 wigs.
What's Beauty?
That's her business name. Business Twitter.
I don't have a Twitter.
Right.
I have an Instagram, 2 of them.
I have
and a business page. That's what I have. I don't have a Twitter. Do you have my Instagram?
I do.
Don't talk to each other. Don't ask her any questions. That's so interesting.
What?
From Dora Salon, is that it? Or Dora Salon?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
I have her LLC.
Just a second. Yeah. Can I see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Dora Dynasty.
And here's her LLC, so it matches.
I'd like to see it.
And here you go as well.
Well, this is from Beauty at...
No.
What do you mean, no?
No, my business name is Dora Dynasty.
Yeah. Dora Salon 1 Beauty, Dora Dynasty LLC, Dora's Dynasty.
Right.
And about the same time, the tweet is over 2,000 in wigs. I'll smack those. And then on the 13th, you write, my wigs come tomorrow. And then on October 11th, I'll be wrong if I dispute it once I get it. And then I don't know what did the...
Because,
what is,
ma'am,
just a sec, I'm reading something. Is not an answer. I didn't ask you anything. What does that mean, Sarah?
It's just an emoji. Like, so what? I don't care.
Oh, I'll be wrong if I dispute it once I get it. So what? But it was so rude I can't even ask them questions, telling me I didn't read it. And then she writes, see how you're smiling? Bad. She should have left you home.
Man, please.
Do you understand? She should have left you home.
Nah, they just ain't
You
communicating
should have left
right.
you home.
They ain't communicating right.
I paid all this money for these wigs and these slow rolling. Wow. I assume that those people, the clients that you were talking about, was slow rolling. Would that be a fair statement? I mean, I'm not familiar with all of this. And then you show me in these tweets, or whatever they call them, a picture that was put up by Boo. Is that a name?
Yes.
Now, what is that?
That's her client actually contacting me and telling me that she's charged her for the wigs and that she was never a stylist to begin with.
How did I upcharge the fee when they paid for it themselves?
Nobody hears you, madam. Okay, so you acknowledge you got them. Your statement is you no longer have them. She didn't make a deal with you. She made a deal with 4 other phantom clients, 2 of whom either you lost your phone, the dog ate your phone, you don't have the number anymore, you don't have the contact anymore, but we don't know how to get in touch with him. And then there was somebody that actually was wearing one of the wigs that she didn't get paid for, that she got from you.
That's not true.
Could I see the invoice and the chargeback, please?
Yes.
Still not a good look from you.
Well,
yeah, not a good look.
It's funny because it's not true.
Not a good look. You the boyfriend?
Yeah.
Stand up for a minute. Just have a couple of questions. Tell me your name.
Braylon, right?
What do you do for a living?
I'm a barber.
Do you live together?
Yes.
How long have you lived together?
Going on a year.
So you were living with her when these wigs were delivered?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, would be an answer. Were you there when she opened the wigs?
One wig she had to put together for a client. Then she opened, she told me she was doing, I know her. I don't be in no business like that.
So the answer is you were only there when one wig was delivered?
I was only there when she opened one wig.
When she opened one.
And I took her to go pick up a wig from her.
Did you drive her there?
Yeah.
Did you go in with her?
No. She came outside. She walked across
Just
the street and got it.
Don't speak. Don't speak. She walked across the street and got it.
From her, yeah. Downtown.
Your Honor, she was actually driving. Because.
Do you work out of the apartment as well?
No.
You work out of a shop?
Yes.
Are you ever there when your girlfriend is working on clients in your house, in the apartment?
Yeah, I've been there.
Often?
Not really, I be gone. Working hours, I'm working. She work at the house, I'm working at the shop.
How many rooms are in the place where you and the defendant live?
At the time, we was in a two-bedroom apartment.
And who was there, just the two of you?
No, we had a roommate.
So you had one bedroom for yourselves, you had a roommate, and then there was a common area, kitchen, living room, right?
Yes.
Where did she conduct her salon business, in what room?
What it would be like dining room area connected.
In the dining.
Yeah.
And is that where she kept her equipment?
Yes.
Is that where she kept her materials?
Yes.
How many wigs did you see in that dining room area at any one time during the time you were living there?
Maybe one she was working on the door, two, maybe two at the most.
You paid rent in the apartment?
Did I pay rent? Nah.
Did she pay rent?
Yes.
How much?
It was like, what, $1,200?
Don't ask her anything.
$1,200. I don't pay the rent, $1,200. I don't pay it, so I don't know.
Why don't you pay anything towards rent?
I don't have to pay the rent if I pay the bills, I pay car notes, I pay different stuff. We 50-50.
Well, if it's 50-50, then you would also pay part of the rent.
Not if it add up to both our car notes, rent, which really be a little bit more.
Okay, so you pay the other bills, she pays the rent.
I moved in with her. I ain't lived there the whole time. I told you it'd only be like a year. She was already staying there. I moved in.
With what did you pay the car note?
With
a check?
No, I pay with either a car or my money.
Your girlfriend, does she have a car?
Does she have a car?
Yes, yes or a no?
Not right now, she did.
Did she?
Yes.
What kind of a car did she have?
Chevrolet Sonic.
And what happened to that car?
It got, whatever, repoed.
It was repossessed.
They was scamming me
on
my insurance.
Just a second. I didn't ask you anything. I'm asking your witness.
Okay.
You brought him.
All right. I'm not the only person you suing. If I pulled up
nobody
and bought a vehicle, why wouldn't I
nobody is listening to you.
Okay, well, can I leave?
No.
Fatoumata Diallo has accused salon owner Kanaya Taylor of stealing 5 wigs. Kanaya says Fatoumata was trying to scam her.
So the car was repossessed. When? Don't look at her. Give me a month, give me a year. Was it recent, in the last 3 months, 4 months?
I can't give you a month.
So it was repossessed because of non-payment of whatever the note was, because that's the only basis to repossess a car. Okay. Now, you say you're not living in that same apartment anymore. You were living in this 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh is not an answer.
Yeah.
Yes is an answer. And you're no longer living in that apartment.
No.
And what happened to that apartment?
I moved. She moved with me.
Okay. You moved when?
November.
November of 2021.
Yes.
Just about the time of all these disputes over wigs. Did your roommate remain in the apartment?
Yes.
Did you have a lease in that apartment?
Yes.
Was your lease over, or did you move out during the lease?
It was over, and I renewed it for my roommate.
Now, the lease was in your name.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh is not an answer. Yes is an
ma'am.
answer, and you renewed the lease even though you moved out.
Yes, ma'am.
Where are you living now?
In Conyers.
What kind of place?
House. And I pay all the bills.
And what does your girlfriend do?
She works.
What does she do?
She does lashes. She does hair. She does nails. She's an entrepreneur.
Does she have a website?
Yes.
Yes. What's the name of her website? You think?
Yeah, I think. I don't be on her. I don't shop with her.
Got it?
Looking.
Did you have a conversation with Miss Taylor about these 5 wigs? Did you have a conversation with her?
Yes.
Do you have a cell phone?
Me? No.
Did you ever have a cell phone?
Yeah.
What happened to your cell phone?
I broke it, so I went on another one.
And you didn't get another one?
It have to get sent to the house. I just broke it. Like, I just broke it.
You just broke it?
Yeah.
So
last
you
week.
have a cell phone. Tell me how you broke the cell phone.
I got real angry and I threw it.
You got angry with somebody?
Yes.
And tell me how your girlfriend lost her cell phone.
Oh, she gave it to me.
And when did she lose her cell phone?
She gave me that phone. I bought her another phone. She gave me that
So
phone.
she gave you,
around.
just a second. So she gave you the phone that she had been using?
Yes.
Which had Joyce information on it. That was the phone she gave you.
I guess so. I don't know Joyce. I don't know who Joyce is.
Sit down. Ms. Taylor, you want to be in business, you have to pay for what you ordered. It's absolutely, I'm not speaking to you, it's absolutely outrageous that she sent you these wigs, they were delivered to your house, and she not only doesn't have the wig, she doesn't have not only her profit, she doesn't have any money. And you've got a lot of clients that you can't identify, and phones that got lost, and information that you don't have. And information that you don't have, that you don't have. Clients that are no longer clients, that blocked you. I mean, people who block you after you work for them for a year, that means that you're either doing a lousy job.
No, because the way she came at me, I actually chumped them off because I feel like you're messing up my business. So I chumped them off, and I guess she didn't want to reply, and she just blocked me.
2196, judgment for the plaintiff.
Your Honor, I have other text messages. I was out of business for like month and a half.
I have to tell you something. I can't discern whether you lost business or not because of this. I cannot discern that. I can give you back the money that you lost as a result of shipping her 5 wigs and not getting compensated for it.
And I also have court fees, and I ordered a PI as well.
But
just a second.
More people
that I will hear.
For wigs.
What were your court fees?
I'm not the only person you suing. If I pulled up
nobody
and bought a wig, why wouldn't I
nobody is listening to you.
Okay, well, can I leave?
No.
'Cause it's
Court fees.
like.
And I also have my incident report that day.
Just a second. Would you please just give me the court fees? You said you had court fees and you hired an investigator.
Yes, I did.
And I'd like to see that invoice, because that you're entitled to.
I have the text messages of my PI.
I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is that you're handing me. I asked you what the court fees were.
I have my PI phone number.
You have nothing.
I didn't print out my court fees, but I do have my more.
Do you have an invoice from the investigator that you say that you hired?
Yes.
And the work that they did?
Yes, I have all the messages.
I don't want messages. I need an invoice, a payment.
I did a payment, $400, and we have the text message trying to find her everything.
Can I see it, please? It was $250 for skip tracing and $150 for service.
My sales went down.
Just a second. Did this person serve her?
Yes, they did.
2196, judgment for the plaintiff. That's it. We're
This
done.
court is adjourned.
I never did it. You know, I just got it sent to my house.
We went through everything. We had to go through birthdays.
It's like saying, I know a friend that they know how to cut hair.
Text messages, everything.
And then you don't like your haircut. What you want me to pay for your haircut? Like, girl.
We literally hawked her down for the information.
She honestly messed up my clientele.
It would be easy to be forthcoming with me and say, these are the clients who I sold it to. I gave her the information. They were supposed to pay her, whatever, but she didn't.
A lot of running around.
A lot of running
story.
around. And there's no question that the plaintiff sold her those wigs. She made a markup. She made a 25% markup. That's okay. And I'm certain that she put in the wigs and made her own markup. Yep. You know, that's commerce. But this ability to reverse charges on a credit card and to have somebody, and it's usually just a person, we're not talking about a committee or a tribunal that determined whether or not the charge was legitimate, just to reverse it. And then where are you? You're left without your product. Very frustrating.
It's a double-edged sword. It can be very useful. I've had to do that on a few different occasions. And the process is very hidden and sort of behind the curtain. And I fear for people like the plaintiff who run their own business, hardworking people who make the best money on the internet because there's no overhead fee of running a store. But these are some of the risks and things that you have to ensure before you get into business.
Well, too bad.